supper. This has been a long, long day because we started our day with China and Singapore and New Zealand. And now we are going more to the west, to South America, and finish some of the European countries and introduce all of the participants of the Food and Climate Shaper Digital Bootcamp, what we are currently running. This is a joint educational program we organize with the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations and, of course, the Future Food Institute. So we are finishing now the third week of this 4-week part-time learning program. And there will be one more week for the participants to work on assigned challenges in teams and present their final climate shaping solutions on a hackathon next weekend. But before that, we have this global dining experience. All of the participants were given the assignment to invite their communities, let them be the family or their colleagues or anyone in their immediate surrounding, to share a meal together, and over this meal exchange conscious conversations, talk about what they have learned over the last 3 weeks and what are their actions towards the sustainability development goals through food. So today also is a very important day because it's the 5th anniversary of the Paris Agreement. So that was also a great timing with this session. And well, before I hand over to one of our participants, let me show you what we have done here in Hungary. I actually came to a town what I knew, but I don't really know the local food sources. So we discovered with my friend Zina today a local food market. And actually we learned from some of the people selling food there how to cook the baby beetroot, because it will just slip out of the skin, and that they kind of criticized the amount of kale we wanted to buy, that it won't be enough for the two of us. So we started to build our relationships here. So let me show you around and start with the sourdough bread we made this morning. And then those are the baby beetroot over there on the white plate, and that's the kale with some Parmigiano. And then I don't know if unfortunately I'm plugged in, so I cannot go further, but we have there cauliflower, what we baked in the oven. Wonderful. It's still very hot. We just got it out, so we really just finished everything on time. And there we have a very colorful salad with lentils, beetroot. A local cheesemaker offered us cheese with fried onions. Delicious. So yeah, we have more than enough food, and we will pair it with a local wine, of course. It is a food mint, which is an indigenous grape type, so it will fit perfectly to our dinner. And yeah, so I'm super hungry now. And what I will do, I will hand over to Emily, who is dialing in from the US. And Emily will tell you what she prepared, who is her guest, and I can start eating.
Hi, Julia, how are you? So as you said, I'm in the US. It is noon right now, so it's just about lunchtime. My friend Rebecca is joining me remotely. So she is not too far away. She lives in New York City, and I'm in my house in New Jersey. So we're about 12 miles apart, but because of COVID, we can't dine together. So what we decided to do instead was we picked a recipe from a book that we both have. So we both have Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat by Samin Nosrat. And we just made, it's winter here, it's kind of cold and gray today. So we just made, I'm gonna try not to spill soup on my keyboard. We just made this like Tuscan beans and greens soup from that book. It's super delicious. I used what I had, so I don't know if Rebecca did anything differently, but I swapped some of the ingredients out based on what I had. We're both big bean lovers, and it's a good thing to warm ourselves today. Rebecca is a very good friend of mine. She and I have been friends probably, she could correct me if I'm wrong, but 13 years maybe, and our something like that. Yeah, we don't know anymore, but our obsession
with 55
food
years
kind of grew together. But we split it in two very different directions. So she works in food media, where I work more on the systems sustainability education side. I'm sorry, somebody's phone is ringing. But it's really interesting what we obviously talk about when we're cooking and eating together all the time, but it is, I always learn so much from her because we work in two very different sides of the food industry. So I think that even though we spend so much time together talking about like food, I think that we each bring something very different to the table in our conversation. I don't know, Becca, do you have anything to add about that?
Yeah, my soup is over on the stove. I actually used broccoli rabe instead of kale because any greens work in a soup. And one of my, my favorite bean sustainability thing is mostly that you cook the beans you cook the beans in water with aromatics and herbs and, onions, celery, carrots, whatever, like you have on hand, and then they make their own broth mostly. So I didn't even use the chicken broth that the recipe calls for because I don't have any. I just used my bean stock. But yes, as Emily noted, I do work in food media. I just transitioned to a full-time role as an editor for the website Food 52. And they're actually a site that I think has done a lot of good in terms of being on the forefront of thinking about the environment. They do it more from an e-commerce standpoint. They have an e-commerce store. So it's a great deal of their revenue, i.e. my paycheck, comes from their e-commerce store, but they've in their own, so they source products from makers all over the country and a couple of international makers as well. But one of the things that they've been really specific to do is launch their own brand. And most of the items are very environmentally conscious. Like they have, we have now that I work for them, it's been about a month. We have dish towels that act like they're little dish towels that act as sponges so you can wash them and reuse them. We have straws. We have, oh my gosh, so many other things that of course I'm blanking on right now, but I really welcome you to click around the site and look at the 5-2 line and see all the work that they're doing with sustainability. But food media still has a really long way to come in terms of sustainability. And I'm sure Emily and I will launch a little bit more into that specifically when we get our conversation going.
Wonderful, thank you. And tell me, why did you pick this specific recipe from the book?
Well, in addition to being really good friends, Becca and I share a bean subscription with Rancho Gordo, which is a bean company here in the United States. They're based out of California, but they prioritize heirloom bean varieties, small regenerative production. And so every 3 months we get 6 pounds of beans in the mail. Oh,
it's actually hominy, not beans, but still we always have about 14 of these pounds of dry beans in our possession at all times.
So we were like, we both each have half a pound of this one bean. And tomorrow, Rebecca has to attend a virtual cookbook club where the Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat book is the book of the week or the month. I don't know how frequently you do it. So we were like, we both have half a pound of these beans. It's going to be cold tomorrow. We love soup. And it was something that was really malleable with whatever we had around because we're trying not to go to the store as often as we might want to, just to pick up one ingredient. So it's super delicious. I would recommend the recipe to anybody.
Super
very nice. Would you mind sharing the link to this bean subscription?
Oh yeah, I can drop it in the chat.
Yes, thank you. So we can share it with the others.
Yeah, we're big fans. We've been doing it for like 2 years. We've gotten so many different types of beans that we never would have heard of, which of course is super important when you're talking about biodiversity. And it has gotten my family to eat a lot more vegetarian dinners. So I recommend it wholeheartedly if you're looking for a way to make something that is really delicious that extends beyond what people's initial reception is to like, not another can of beans for dinner.
Totally.
Cooking beans from dry soup make automatically more delicious. And when you get to have fun with it, exploring all these different types, I do think it's really fun and a great way to introduce your family to new cuisine.
I'm muted. Thank you. It sounds delicious, and I don't want your soup to get cold. So please go ahead and eat the meal what you prepared and continue your conversation. Also, I wish you a lot of fun for your book club tomorrow. And I would now slowly transition to another country. So thank you, Emily and Rebecca, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks. So Claudia, I think Ecuador is the next country we visit today.
Hello, welcome to Ecuador. So, if you notice, now the table is full and we are like just only preparing to have our meal. I will introduce Mauricio, which is my husband, and he is the chef who prepared all the things so we can have the food here. So I will introduce him and he will explain what we have.
Hello, this is our dinner or lunch, and today we're making a ceviche made by everybody in the table. So I have the ingredients here all set, so everybody can take whatever they want and build a ceviche how they like it. Today we have also hearts of palm here, a little bit of onion. These are red onions pickled a little bit with uh, lemon and salt and pepper. A little bit of fish, lemon, mango, uh, bell peppers, and tomatoes. So those are all the ingredients for making the ceviche, and everybody can just grab a little bit of those and put it in their dishes and make their own. So that's pretty much it. How this typical Ecuadorian dish is going to be made.
I love ceviche.
The reason we choose to do a ceviche, it's because you have plenty of ways to doing it. So I think food is like that, or the future of food should be like that, like diverse, but also with different recipes. So since we have here, most of the people we have spent this year, what we expect to do is to share this meal to say thank you. At the beginning of this year, we didn't know that we would be so close. Everyone was planning their work. Everyone was thinking in their ways to improve our own business. But then COVID came, and because of that, we got together and we start a community process, which is the one I showed you on Instagram. I don't know if you had time to look at that, but the reason why they are here is because of that.
I did have time, but I guess that we have a few people in the audience who didn't. So maybe you want to share a bit more about your project in a few words, Claudia.
Okay, well, the project uh, was to create a food security system while COVID was on the worst months of in this community. What we did was to get together as technicians. Each one of the people you see here, like Mauricio, knows about food, but also about how to make calculations to have lots of food together. Jimmy is also a farmer, but also he works as a transport guy, so he knows how to distribute food. Dani, she knows about forestry, but also she knows about education. Jonas, he is uh, the guy who managed a ONG that is called Salem here, which works with the people, especially young and little children who are in violence situations here. So he knows and he gathers little children every day to keep them away of the streets. Uh, you see there's Sulema. Sulema is like a Jonas peer, and she knows about a lot of education, how to support the community that is involved in violence. You see there Javi and Clemencia, both of them are great farmers, and also they cook delicious. So what we did was to be together and build this food security program, also a seed program, in order to avoid the dependence of food just to avoid that people will be get used to get food and not to work with their hands and make the program by themselves and build the food security systems by themselves. So we did that, and we still are working. Everything was a volunteer work, and we didn't know exactly how the money came, but the money came, and none of us suffered of food problems, and neither our community. That's the history behind this.
Wonderful. So your dish tonight, everything is grown by you and collected in within your project, right?
We, as the food studio, yes, we work with farmers, and we have different nets where we collect the food. So most of the food that we have here is from the farmers, but the food that is not able to get it from the farmers, we buy it on here near the store.
Very
Like
nice.
for us to be on the consumer side, our wish is not to produce, but to create nets and consumer ways to buy things from the ones who are producing. Or in this case, like in this case, in Clemencia and Javi, they own small properties and big properties too, and we buy food from them to our place.
Wonderful. So I have the feeling, Claudia, that they are waiting for you to sit down so you can start it,
Yes,
right?
yes, they are waiting.
Okay. In this case, I don't want to hold you back. So please
Well,
go and enjoy your delicious meal together and tell them a bit more about what we have learned together over the last weeks. Claudia is one of our most eager students. She's even waking up in the middle of the night to follow the classes.
I love it. Just
Wonderful.
have fun, you too. Thanks for this day, and keep eating good and thinking about food.
Exactly. Enjoy your lunch, brunch.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Bye.
So the next participants are from Brazil. But before I introduce them, actually, I think I'm still waiting for them to join as well. I also would like to introduce the local host who is now on the call, because for each session, we try to find those who attended any of the previous education programs. So during the day, we already introduced others as well from Indonesia, India, and so on. And today we have Ivani Pauli here, who I never had the chance to meet in person. We only met digitally, but we had already so many projects together, and it's so much fun to work. Recently, we organized a research dinner at her location in Porto Alegre about nutrition for all. So, Ivy, please introduce yourself and tell us, what are you doing recently?
Hello guys, I'm Ibi. I'm here from Brazil, very south on top of Uruguay, close to Argentina as well. And we are here in the summer now. I see you guys like cooking for keeping yourselves warm. I did the opposite today. We had a salad, a tropical salad with a lot of leaves that we grow here in my apartment on the window. So I just picked the leaves from there and put everything together, so it was super good. And also got all the most of the ingredients besides the leaves from the window from this beautiful place here in our city, which is one of the biggest organic farmers market that we have here. So all fresh, all from smallholders. So it was delicious, and it was dressed with kombucha vinegar and avocado oil, and topped it with toasted sunflower seeds and sesame. It was so good. And what I'm doing here now, I'm a biologist, so I also have a specialization in nutritional functionality. So what food does to us in our bodies, and how we can turn this into tasty and delicious food as well. So studying the relationship between the food and its effects on the environment and internally in our body. And recently I joined the Preta Terra team. So I'm officially part of the Preta Terra team, which is the largest agroforestry hub in the world. So I'm doing an amazing job here. And I'm super, super happy. Just joined 2 weeks ago. And yeah, this is more or less what I'm doing here now.
So will we see you on the session on Wednesday? Because
Yes,
Preto Terra is actually one of the speakers next week.
yes.
Amazing. So we actually got to know Preto Terra through Evie. I think the first session what we actually had together was for Food for Earth Day, when you also featured them. And through you, we had them also presenting during the previous bootcamp. Wonderful project. So much to learn from them. So yeah, I'm very happy to hear this. And also would like to highlight how cool is the glasses frame what Evie is wearing. Maybe you want to tell the story of that as well. I really like it, sorry.
Yeah. These glasses, they are really cool because they are made from upcycled wood. So it's wood that here we have a lot of industries with furniture and stuff like that. And this glasses company, it's a small one here in Brazil, and they are upcycling this these leftovers of the furniture industry, which is it's very nice. I love them. They are super durable and they are also very light. So
Nice.
it's,
Thumbs
yeah.
up for the circular system. Definitely. Thank you, Evie, for being here. And I see already our first Brazilian participant of the current bootcamp, Gaston. You have a proper setup there going on. I can't wait to hear what all you prepared.
You don't know how hard it is to not eat it. Just the position them here and just keep looking at it. Well, actually, I didn't make this food, and I thought this was important to bring to our supper, because we were all affected by the pandemic, and that changed a lot the life for farmers, smallholders, and also to people that live from restaurants, from business in the food sector. So today, to my supper, for our supper, I bought some foods from a dear friend of mine, which is also a restaurateur and a food journalist here in south of Brazil, and she has a great work with her husband, which is a chef, in giving the importance of local food and doing that in a very sexy way. So I don't see her. She should be on the Zoom right now. She's waiting. Flavia?
Yes,
oh, there she is.
I just let her in.
Marvelous. So she will speak in Portuguese, but maybe I'll try to translate, and maybe Evie or Mauricio can. Oh, Mauricio, sorry, is in Ecuador. Evie can help me. Oi, Flávia, tudo bom?
Oi, tudo bem?
Tudo jóia. Já fui te apresentando, mais ou menos. Falei que você é jornalista de comida. She's also an architecture journalist as well. She's very, and I think that also has a great relations with food, right? Mas eu estava contando para eles que a minha escolha por pedir comida é porque a pandemia impactou muito, né? Negócios, pequenos agricultores e, enfim, e a relação com o clima, que eu acho legal a gente falar aqui, é o trabalho que tu tem com essa valorização da gastronomia local, né? E com os produtos que são tradicionais do Rio Grande do Sul, mas que, enfim, não tinham a valorização merecida. So I just repeated what I said to you guys before, and now I will open with a question to Flavia as a point of discussion about this specific initiative where she gives the importance for local produces. E aí, se tu quiser falar de identidade um pouco, eu vou comendo e daí eu te traduzo depois.
Então, oi pessoal, tudo bem? Muito obrigada, Gaston, pelo convite. Eu fiquei bem feliz de poder compartilhar um pouco do que a gente vem fazendo aqui em Porto Alegre, no Rio Grande do Sul. Eu e o meu marido, o Marcelo, que é chefe de cozinha, a gente tem um projeto que se chama Identidade RS. Esse projeto, na verdade, ele faz um registro das histórias, da cultura, mas principalmente das pessoas que fazem a gastronomia acontecer aqui. Né? A gente sempre viu...
Desculpa te interromper, deixa eu falar, que senão depois eu não vou conseguir traduzir.
Tá.
So she and her husband have this project which is called RS Identity, which is the acronym for the state that we live in, Rio Grande do Sul, which is the southest province in Brazil. And the way that they are doing that is telling stories about different people that live in the state. Segue o baile.
Então, essa pesquisa e esse registro, né, a gente coloca num site, né, www.identidaders.com.br, depois a gente pode mandar para vocês. E essas histórias e esses produtos, o que essas pessoas fazem, inspira o trabalho de criação. Eu faço os registros, né, por ser jornalista, e o Marcelo pega essas histórias e coloca isso em cardápios e em pratos, né? Isso faz parte já há um bom tempo do jeito que ele pensa a cozinha dele.
So she as a journalist does all the interviewing, the registers, tell those stories, and they post it into a website that she will later on share with us. And her husband, which is Chef Marcelo, does all his creations according to those stories, right? According to all the records that they made, the stories that they tell, and you can see that a lot in his work. So it's a power couple, indeed, you know. Segue o baile.
Então, de alguma forma, isso dá uma... O Marcelo, por ser um chefe, ele é um dos mais conhecidos aqui do Rio Grande do Sul, do lugar onde a gente mora. Isso coloca o produto e as histórias desse pequeno produtor, né, ou da nossa própria cultura, né, num lugar importante da gastronomia, né, de uma gastronomia valorizada e que carrega junto essas histórias, né? Porque aqui no Brasil e no Rio Grande do Sul a gente tem uma relação esquisita com a comida, que é de não olhar para o que tem aqui com esse olhar de deslumbramento, de achar tudo maravilhoso, como a gente vê em outros lugares onde tem a gastronomia como um grande pilar cultural, né?
Sorry. So she uses Marcelo is a renowned chef in our state. So by telling those stories, he adds a value. He can publicize all these very rich culinary products that we have in our state, and this is very important because in Brazil as a general, but I would say in our province, in our state specifically, there is a lack of acknowledgement of our very unique and with all the traditional knowledge and the mix of the culture and immigrants as well. So they do that in a very, and now I see very, it's linear, you know. They go after the stories, they get to know the people, they build relations, they tell their stories, they add that to their creations, sell that in their restaurants, and by the notoriety, is that even a word? Notoriety of the restaurants and Marcelo's work as a chef, they strengthen this vision about the local food and the local produces.
Então, o Identidade, esse projeto é isso, assim, ele é o subsídio para criações gastronômicas que o cliente come uma comida e ganha uma história, né? E ganha essa experiência, assim, né? De uma vivência, enfim.
The client goes to the restaurant, eats a great food, and actually what he also gets is a great history. It's a great experience, and I would say that now that this is a pioneer work in our state. I can state that without any care. It's a very pioneer work that they did. E Flávia, como agora assim, falando, né, conta um pouco dos 2 restaurantes que vocês têm, ou, né, começando, né, em ordem, e o porquê o que vocês tiveram que fazer na pandemia para enfim, para continuar contando essas histórias. So I asked Flávia to tell us a little bit more about their restaurants and to say what they did to jiggle with this a very critical moment that we are still living here in Brazil, and that's why I'm at my house and she's at her house, maybe 30 blocks away.
Então, o Capincho não tem 2 anos ainda, né? Então, a gente teve um primeiro ano muito legal e quando a gente achou que agora vai decolar o restaurante, veio a pandemia. A gente muito rapidamente conseguiu se organizar e a gente vem desde então vendendo comidinhas congeladas, né? Entendendo que talvez a necessidade, as pesquisas na verdade mostraram isso, né? Que as pessoas elas iam procurar mais comidas que reconfortassem elas em casa do que propriamente uma experiência em restaurante. E foi isso que a gente fez. A gente, há 8 meses, tem uma produção de comidas congeladas com a qualidade que a gente sempre entregou e clientes que há 8 meses vêm comprando da gente semanalmente.
So, this restaurant that works in that logic of also selling the stories behind the food, it has 2 years, had 2 years when the pandemic struck them, so they were reaching to an interesting point in the business. And what they did, they used a lot of research, and I believe this is Flavia's intelligence behind the business as well, to understand that people in these times would trade the restaurant experience, which at some points here was impossible, it was forbidden, for quality and comfort food, you know. So they started also producing freezed meals. How do you say that? Freezed meals. Frozen, that's the word. Frozen meals. And they have very loyal clients that buy from them in a weekly basis, and the meals are delicious. They have, maybe we need another time to talk about the food per se. Mas,
At least you need to tell us what is on your plates.
Okay, sorry. O que tem no meu prato aqui? Conta um pouco para eles.
Então, o Gaston tá comendo do nosso outro restaurante, que é o Lambari. Ele fica dentro de um food hall, que é um mercado gastronômico, né? Que abriu faz 1 mês aqui na nossa cidade. E é isso, é um negócio que abre no meio da pandemia, né? Parece coisa para pessoa louca, mas a gente acreditou nesse modelo de negócio que é muito parecido com o mercado da Ribeira, o Time Out de Lisboa, que reúne pequenos restaurantes que têm características muito especiais e que dão a cara da gastronomia da cidade. Então a gente achou que era importante estar lá. Vai.
Desculpa. So I'm eating food from their new restaurant that they just opened 1 month ago, and that face that you made, Julia, right? A new restaurant in this pandemic, you're crazy. but this is also product of the research. It's in a food hall with very small setups, restaurants that are very unique, that bring a lot of identity in their foods and quality products as well. And it emulates the Mercado da Ribeira in Lisbon, sorry. And so I'm eating food from there. What am I eating, Flávia? O que eu tô comendo aqui?
Então, está comendo, acho que é uma milanesinha de frango com molho agridoce.
Uhum.
Aí tem um sanduíche de porco. E esse sanduíche é muito especial porque ele tem um pão que ele é feito de fermentação natural por uma padaria local, que é a Massa Madre.
Deixa eu ir aqui, que senão eu já me perco. So this is it's a chicken, how to say empanado? Isso, me ajuda aí, Eve.
Coated.
No, it's like it's not a coquette. They are
No, coated with breadcrumbs and sesame seeds.
Yes. Okay. With sweet and salty sauce and some sesame. This is addictive. I was just not eating the food.
We can see that you are like grabbing in the bowl between every question.
This with the beer, it would be like perfect. You could eat everything. And this is it's a very special sandwich. It's pork. And she was just telling about the bread, which is natural fermentation made by Massa Madre. E agora quer contar um pouquinho da Massa Madre?
Que é uma padaria daqui, muito legal, que faz um trabalho sensacional, assim, com os pães de fermentação natural. Trouxe um novo conceito de panificação aqui para nossa cidade.
They are pioneers within this natural fermentation process, and is a local bakery. E o que tem mais aqui dentro?
Aí tem porco e tem um queijo que também eu acho muito legal, que é um queijo que se chama Mogiana. Ele é produzido em São Paulo pela fazenda Atalaia.
So
there's muito interessante com os queijos, de um cuidado absurdo, assim, com queijo de leite cru, né, e tal. É um nível, assim, muito...
It's a raw milk cheese called Mogiana from a farm called Atalaia.
Isso.
Atalaia. And I'm eager to eat this because this is the one, I chose diversity, but this is the one that will be the center of my experience here, I hope. This is so comfort. It's so much of a comfort food. It's so delicious. Fala aí o que é.
É o sanduíche de parmegiana de frango. Parmegiana, eu acho, é a carne, né, empanada com molho de tomate e queijo. E isso é um prato muito porto-alegrense, seja de carne de gado ou seja de frango. É uma coisa muito da nossa cidade. E a gente pegou e botou isso dentro de um sanduíche.
So the Italians here will excuse us because this is the Filet Parmigiana. We call it here. One is this breadcrumb meat or cattle or chicken, and this is the one with chicken with tomato sauce, very delicious cheese melted, and o que é esse verde?
É mostarda.
Mostarda. Eve me salva. Mostarda em inglês?
Mustard.
Mustard. Good. That was an easy one. And at least, but not the last, you have this beauty here. O que é isso aqui, Flávia?
Essa é uma opção vegetariana de sanduíches numa terra de muita carne, que é aqui Porto Alegre, Rio Grande do Sul. A gente come muita carne. E esse é um sanduíche que ele é feito com um queijo colonial empanado. ele vai com uma salada de repolho e beterraba, que é incrível, ácida, que daí quebra a gordura do queijo.
So we are in a land that eats a lot of meat. It's like Texas. It's barbecue land, you know. It's every Sunday what people do is to cook meat with these pears, you know. But this is their veggie option, and it's crazy. They have also bread crumbled cheese, a slice like this, from a colonial cheese. We call it colonial because it's where we have the migrants. We have a lot of Italian migrants here, especially in the north part of our state, in the highlands. And to cut the high fat of the cheese, they add de novo, o que é? A cabbage and o que era? Salada de repolho e?
Repolho e beterraba.
And beets. Cabbage and beet salad that is very como é que é? Para quebrar a acidez.
Ela é bem vinagrenta. Daí, bastante vinagre.
They got a lot of vinegar to break the cheese, you know, the fat in the cheese, and I'm eager to eat it as well.
Are you guys open for dinner? Are you guys open for dinner? Vocês estão abertos para o jantar, Flávia?
Thank you so. Evie, please do some inquiry to Flavia that I will also bring dessert so you can see.
Oh my gosh.
Forgive my kidney.
I must say it's a very serious sandwich game going on there. Like I am all the different breads and fields. It's like I keep thinking about Joey in Friends and his favorite food, pizza and sandwiches.
And he's going to get the dessert.
Yes.
Oh
wow. Have you already tried Flavia's food, Evie, before?
Yes, I went there at Capinchos just before the closing from the pandemic, and I had the chance to get to taste this a little bit, not all that I wanted, but a little bit. Yes, it's a must go place here in Porto Alegre. Definitely, it's so good.
I see.
You mean here in Porto Alegre? You live here, Evie?
Yes.
Ah, que legal! So, what I have here, Flávia, fala para eles.
Então, aí a gente tem uma torta de queijo com uma calda de butiá, que é uma fruta muito comum daqui. Ela dá numa palmeira, assim, é bem emblemático aqui do Rio Grande do Sul e de toda a região do Pampa, né? O Uruguai tem, um pedaço da Argentina também tem. E a gente fez essa calda, que ela é um pouquinho ácida, então ela fica é muito boa. Tu quer dar uma colherada atrás de colherada, assim, sem parar.
So, this is a cheese pie, and this, how do you say this? A calda. It's like it's from a specific. Well, you understand what this is, right? Just looking at it, it's creamy deliciousness, right? It's what?
Yes, we can see the consistency.
You can see, right? So this it's made from a fruit that is very traditional in the Pampas region, which is actually mainly the south of our state, with a shared region between Argentina and Uruguay. Sorry, Argentina, or you prefer the pie, I understand. So Argentina and Uruguay as well, it's a palm tree that has small yellow fruits called butiá, that if Evie knows the translation, she deserves an award.
But there is no translation, it's so good.
No translation. It's delicious. You can also do cachaça, butiá cachaça with them. And, excuse me.
All right, Gaston. I think we have to leave you enjoy your food. Serious sandwich game going on. Please, yes, indulge in all the food that you got. Flavia.
Thank you very much.
Buen provecho.
Gracias, querida. Ustedes también. Que la pasen lindo. Beijo, valeu. Falou, Hola, querido.
Ciao, ciao. So we have one more person from Brazil. Mauricio, are you here with us? Mauricio?
Yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We cannot really see you, unfortunately, because of the connection, but let's start talking. Ah, now we can see you. Hi.
I'm sorry. It's a field day today. I'm visiting small farmers, and we had a lot of issues with the connection. So there are a couple of our friends down there having lunch. We had a fantastic lunch, but here I'm with my friend Rodolphe, who can join us and explain. We are in agroforestry. I'm not sure if you can see, but that's an agroforestry that we are visiting today.
Unfortunately, our screen is frozen. We can see some trees behind you. So we imagine, maybe you keep talking and then we listen to what you have to describe now. And it's up to our imagination, Mauricio. So please
Okay,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Okay, I'm gonna try to be a nice Forrest Gump.
Yes.
So we, as an organic association in my hometown, we are visiting part of the group, and today we are in a small farm which works in an agroforestry project. Colleagues that works on having the same purpose to develop the organic association in my hometown. Today we had a pasta with fresh pomodoro, agroforestry pomodoro, and a green salad. Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, it's a bit shaky, but basically we heard about the pasta and the pomodoro. So all the ingredients, I assume maybe besides the pasta, you are growing yourself, right?
All the ingredients. So all the ingredients comes from the agroforestry. That's our innovation today.
Very good. So how big is the team who you are working with there?
Pardon me, I lost you.
No problem. So how big is the team who you are running and working on this agroforestry project on?
Wow, it's a little bit busy. We, as association, we have 3 farmers with an agroforestry project. The other guys, they are just organic. So we are here today to learn a little bit more how to manage the agroforestry, what kind of crops that is doing well, what's not doing well, what will be the market that for the products that they're cropping here. So that's the idea today, visiting the agroforestry. And of course, we just had a lunch.
Wonderful.
We are about 25 yeah, we are about 25 people in organic association, 25 farmers, and in this land here, in this property, there are 3 people working in about 2 hectares in agroforestry.
Thank you, Maurizio. So what are the next steps, what you will do today? What is the activity what you are doing while spending your afternoon after this delicious lunch?
Okay. May I introduce myself? Can I take
Yes,
this part?
please.
Okay, so my name is Rudolf. I'm the farmer whose property was visited this morning. I'm in the beginning of my agroforestry project. The field day is about changing information about what is going local here and what strategic assets we can use towards ourselves. Okay, so there is a pig farm not far from here, so people are trying to use the pig shit to biofertilizer to the crops. And this morning we've been discussing this a little, how to have the tanks or how to spread this very powerful fertilizer. Now we came for lunch. We kind of cooked together. Tomatoes come from here. Also the basilic is amazing, that comes from here. Grated cheese we bought from another producer, which is not 30 kilometers away. So we're really feeling local this meal. For the afternoon, because today is the last day of our encounters in the year, we're probably gonna discuss like a review on the year. What's been doing good? We have a box on the market within the city, so we're gonna discuss if we're spending enough energy on this, or if this is strategical for us to advance or to put more effort next year. They also have a big focus here on this agroforestry on coffee. So we expect to have really nice coffee to taste after lunch. This is our next half an hour future.
Very short-term plans. Very good.
Yes.
Sounds good. Amazing. Mauricio, thank you so much for taking to this beautiful place. And I hope you will have a fruitful strategy conversation in the afternoon. It was lovely to meet you. And I would quickly check in before we travel again to another country. Well, we will actually travel to another country. Jeff, I see you being busy over there. I want to also hear what you are doing.
Yes. Up to a little bit of mischief in the kitchen here. So I went to the market this morning. There's a fantastic ecological market here.
Thank you, bye. Thank you, Jeff.
Who's that? Hey, Maurizio. So let me show you what I got, all right? Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, cool. So the star of the show is these guys here, these purple carrots, you know? So they are carrots purple. So I absolutely love these. If you look here on the inside, they're sort of like green and like funky looking, so I really like them. We got a red onion here, but I noticed this guy is still very much alive, so I may try and extend this onion's life actually. So I got another one that I will use. Got some purple garlic, a cute little broccoli, and a very cute little cauliflower. And something interesting that I
That's like a flower.
found with
hand it over to someone
just
as
ensuring that.
It's like a flower.
Sorry, what?
You could hand it over to someone as a flower. It's so cute.
Yeah, exactly. And so something interesting. So I got this today, and I checked how much was it, and it cost like 45 cents or something. And of course, the quality is really good. So I found something real interesting as I'm sourcing locally is that oftentimes it's actually cheaper to get this stuff than it would be to get the stuff even from the supermarket if you're going to the right places, especially if you build up a bit of a rapport with the farmers, because they usually kind of sort you out then. So my intention, and just stop me whenever now, because I could go forever. I'm happy in the kitchen. So I'll just show you what I'm kind of doing here. So if you can see, I'm just preparing some potatoes. These are also local. Everything is local and ecological. I'm gonna nip these carrots here. Oh, and there is actually the star of the show, right? The secret ingredient is this, which is actually honeycomb. And I don't know if you've eaten honeycomb before, but I had it for the first time only about 2 months ago, and I'm actually been Winnie the Pooh ever since. So, so that's it. So my intention is I'm gonna cut up these. If you want, I can show you my process of even cooking until you find the next person, if you wish.
We do have the next person already on the line, but it looks
Yeah,
delicious. You know what? You go on
wait.
cooking, and I would like to see the end result before we finish this session.
Okay, perfect. I'll keep with it a little bit, and then whenever you want to check in with me, feel free.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. All right. So the next country, we are back in Europe, as you already realized. Our next participant is based in Brussels. Before we hand over to Marco, I also would like to welcome the other two local hosts who are also based in Brussels. One of them is Anastasia Costantini and Oriane Boremans. Can you just say hi? Hello, hello. So Anastasia attended the bootcamp in the summer, and we had the chance to already work together on the Nutrition for All project afterwards. And Anna and myself, we graduated together in 2018 from the Food Innovation Program. So Marco, here is your local ecosystem to be grown in Brussels. The next people who you can extend your ecosystem map with. And so tell us what you have prepared. You're already online, and I saw you moving around, setting up everything with your dinner guests. So what have you done?
Okay, so I first of all, I wanted to congratulate to all the people before me, because since this morning from China arriving to Brazil now, it was incredible. And I unfortunately just joined this sustainable food world. Like, for me, it's really important to say that I'm just at the beginning of a process, but it's really nice. And I tried to make myself a chef today, because I couldn't find anybody in Brussels apart from the two really nice chefs that I will interview on Monday. I prepared 2 plates. Luckily, I'm super lucky, because this is the people that are attending our supper. They are my roommates, my best friend, and my girlfriend, and I'm really proud for them to be here. Okay, so I had an idea. Since I'm in Brussels, I firstly don't know much about the culture, the cuisine that they have here. I just arrived, and I need a bit more time to study what they eat and to understand what they like the most. So I wanted to make a first dish, a soup that I will show you with Belgian ingredients. So this is the base, is peas, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts. And then we have carrots with also the skin, as you taught me to use, and some seeds from pumpkin I hope you see it well, from the pumpkin that Federica cooked last week. So we kept it, and that's the first plate. And the second one is a bit more Italian, since that's my actual local, I can say that's where I was born, so that's my tradition. And it's a risotto that was I bought in a shop that I'm gonna show you after. On the computer, took some photos. The rice actually comes from Switzerland, and it was I have also here it is. I kept some, so you can see there's the rice, and there's as well like some tomatoes and some basil. The basil and the tomatoes are from Italy, and the rice is from Switzerland. As a garnish, this is the actual label, and I think it's really cute. And then there's also all the ingredients, and on the top I put some pomegranate that comes directly from one of my roommates' house. She received a little, no, not quite big pack full of stuff, and now we are all living I'm going to my sister in Spain. They're going to Italy. So all this food is in between what I could find here in Brussels. So biological goods, and as well what I had left because I had to finish everything in 2 days. So I thought it was a nice idea to not waste anything. Since I wanted to be ready to show you the plates, as you saw before, I actually took some pictures of the process so you can understand my day, because I woke up pretty early to do this, and I was quite scared as well. So this is the shop, and I thought it was really cute. I took a photo from the outside, and then inside I just chose the vegetables. But that's the result of what I found. And then as you can see, I started to do the soup. So I put the broccoli in, the Brussels sprouts and everything. And then, I forgot a big part of the risotto. So we had a lot of cheese from Italy, also the crusts that we didn't want to waste. So we put it in. And as you can see, I took some pictures of the crusts. And I think it's always good to have some Parmigiano inside anything you eat. Then you have the carrots with the skin. You have the broth needed for the risotto. That is all vegetables that I had here that I bought in a local market. This is actually the broth into making. This is where the other cheese that I put in the risotto, the pecorino, was in, and is a really nice eco package, I would say. So I included it because it's really nice. And this is the pecorino, me cutting the pecorino several times, cooking the soup, cooking risotto and the soup together, blending the soup, blending the top of the soup, which are the carrots, with some pepper, and then the risotto into making. And that's like 25 minutes ago. So I reached my goal to arrive just in time for this. And unfortunately, I don't have any guests apart from the beautiful guests that are my roommates.
We have so many guests.
Yeah, no, but I mean, involved. Important in my life, but maybe they're not chefs. They all work into, we have African studies. So Moges and Manu are from African studies. Serena works for NATO. She's a trainee in the commission. And my girlfriend is at the last year of design. So
I think really important people in our food system, you know, Marco. Everyone is important in our food system.
That's really true. But after seeing Claudia, Gaston, and actually also Mauricio in the field, I was quite scared about this. But actually, for me, it's really nice because it's the first time probably that I blend a soup myself. And it's a really nice experiment for me. I will keep doing it, I promise, even after the course. And maybe I can put myself with you in the background. And yes, I think that what I could bring from this experience is the fact that all these weeks I got I step up my knowledge into sustainability, and it's really, really good process, both for my career, but also emotionally. And tonight, the dinner I could display was really the product of the weeks of learning that I had. So it's really nice. And yeah, this is what I did. And also we have some fruit, actually. I forgot it. Macedonia for after.
Very nice. So Marco, first of all, super documentation of the process. So thumbs up, that's 10 out of 10, right? Second of all, you don't have experience and you already cooked multiple dishes simultaneously. So I think it's not too bad of a performance for today.
Thank you so much. Thanks to all my roommates in the last 6 years and all the dinners I've done. So it's really...
Very good. So I think both of your meals are supposed to be warm, right?
Yeah.
And I see everyone being very, very hungry over around the table.
Yeah, they're smiling, but there's some tension.
All right, so I don't want to increase that further. So please go enjoy your meal and
Thank you
have
very much.
safe travels afterwards. Well done using all the ingredients what you had still in your pantry before leaving. Enjoy your meal and
Thank you very much for the
we head
opportunity.
over to the next tables. Thank you. Thank you,
Bye
Maria.
bye.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
All right. So before we go, I think to Berlin actually. Oh, wow. That was a big applause. Very good. Anna, on this, Marco, I will mute you if you don't mind. Sorry. Yes. So Anna, who is on our call, she's also known as the butcher's daughter. And Marco also prepared a plant-based meal. So I was thinking that maybe we could talk a tiny bit about what Anna has been working on over the last years, and also the company what she recently founded, what she would like to help those people who are trying to go more towards a plant-forward diet can make use spices and flavors to make their plates even more colorful. And now I might have cut her being away from her computer. I don't know because I cannot see her. No, there she is. Okay. So, Anna, tell us a bit about the whole vegetarian and plant-forward line or direction what you are representing.
Yeah, so it's very short. The story is that I'm a butcher's daughter. My dad is actually the president of the meat lobby in Europe, so he's quite intense into protecting the meat industry in Europe, but it's also very open-minded. And so basically, my whole family are butchers. Well, they have been working in this industry for years, and so am I but I changed my mind in 2018 when I was actually with you and with the other students in the food innovation program. After studying the future of protein, I realized that it would be actually a good message if I myself, as a butcher's daughter, decide to change my diet to a vegetarian diet. Then maybe a lot of people would decide to also reduce the consumption of meat or cut the consumption of meat. I do that exclusively because of the impact on the environment. Obviously, when I say that, a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, what do you mean? It means that you are not into well-being of animals." Sure, I am. Like, I'm definitely not like for not well-being of animals. I encourage well-being of animals, but it's a sensitive subject and it's a long debate. So I don't want to discuss about that. But I'd rather love to talk about the impact of the environment when we consume a lot of meat. So I became vegetarian 2 years ago. I was thinking of sometimes eating meat from time to time in some events. I ended up never eating meat again because I'm actually a bit disgusted of meat. Who knows why? It's just that I cannot, like my body is not used to meat anymore. So whenever I try to eat meat again, it's like something new that my body is a bit afraid of. So it's fine. I just have to accept it. It's too bad because there's a lot of food that I actually miss. And then becoming vegetarian, I realized there's a lot of cliches in the vegetarianism, and there's a lot of people believe that vegetarian food or vegan food is actually bland and there's no taste, super complex. So I was like, okay, no, maybe we actually should be more open-minded to this new diet. And so I democratized this. Sorry, I'm laughing because of the bottle behind you. Yeah, my beer is behind the computer, so it's okay. So yeah, I really want to democratize this diet that is too much into this like meditation, yoga. Like if you're vegetarian, you must have this like mindset and lifestyle, and which is not the case. I'm doing boxing. It's definitely not anyone can be vegetarian. That's what I want to say. And so to help that, I have created a blog called the Butcher's Daughter in French. So I'm actually giving some recipe advices on how to become vegetarian in a healthy way and also mentally as well. And then on the other side, as you said, I recently created a brand called Alex, coming from the city of Alexandria, where it was a big port of exchange of spices. So Alex is basically a brand that suggests and offers solutions to cooking more vegetarian at home. Because a lot of people have difficulty to actually cook vegetarian at home because they believe it's not tasty. So what I'm doing is that I've created 3 blends of spices that can actually help in cooking vegetarian dishes. It can be any dishes that you create. There's no limits in that. It can be a curry, it can be roasted vegetables, it can be in your soup, it can be in your hummus. There's no limits. And so it's multifunctional, it's clean, it's organic. So yeah, it's online sales right now and in organic shops slowly. So it's, yeah, that's my story basically. And to answer Marco's question, yeah, in Belgium, we eat a lot of meat. If he was wondering what we are eating in Belgium, we eat mostly traditional food is meat.
Very interesting. So maybe here we can ask Anastasia, how was it for you when you moved from Italy to Belgium? Like the culinary experience, the change of products, how was that for you? And thank you, Anna, for telling us the story.
But I arrived in Brussels 5 years ago, and not honestly, I'm still eating Italian, if I should be honest. I tried all the time. I try also. One thing that I'm doing is to try to use the Belgian food, especially plant-based Belgian vegetables that I can find here, and try to revisit, to remake some Italian dish. For instance, how to say the Parmigiana, that is in Italy, we do with the aubergine. Here in Brussels, I'm trying to do with other type of vegetables, and sometimes is a good results. But honestly, that one thing that I start to eat all day is the soup. This is something that became thanks to also my son, that at school he learned to eat each day soup. This is something that now is in our daily food routine, that in Italy is not.
I'm not surprised, Anastasia, that you are eating Italian, still Italian, because in Belgium, in Brussels, I mean, around Brussels, and in Brussels, we have a large community of Italian people. Yes. So there's a lot of also Italian shop. It's quite easy to find very authentic and local products from Italy. So I'm not surprised for that. We have a lot of Italian restaurants as well. And so you don't lose track somehow. So, and also if you really want to eat traditional Belgian foods, it's very complex cooking. If it's mostly meat, and secondly, it's stews most of the time, or it's mashed potatoes. Every time it's a recipe that takes a long time. So we are usually eating a very European diet between Italian, Spanish, a bit more Lebanese right now, but yeah, I would say Spanish, Italian, Greek, all these countries. We actually we never say like, I always say that to my friends. It's very funny because in Belgium, we're not going to say, tonight, are we going to eat Belgian food tonight? No, it's not something that we actually say. We just say, are we going to eat Chinese, Japanese, Italian? Yes. But we never say, oh, let's go eat Belgian food. It's not like something super exciting for us.
Yes, no. It's for me. It's really easy to follow Italian diet, honestly, because I have a lot. There is a lot of supermarket with Italian. Yeah. Yes, I tried to taste something, and for instance, soup. All these parties is I found really good, and now is in our diet. But also because for me it's difficult because I'm vegetarian, so and so a lot of specialities is not part of, I can't
Yeah, understand. When I became vegetarian, I ended up going to, if I have like friends visiting Belgium or Brussels, and we go to like, or we used to go to a restaurant, a Belgian restaurant, I know that I always ended up with cheese croquette, which is like a classic from Belgium, hopefully, but it's cheese. It's fried cheese basically,
Yes.
and French fries. So yeah, I mean, it's not super exciting. Once in a while, why not? But we don't have much vegetarian food. But that's the tradition. We have this like Nordic tradition. So yeah, but or something very very Belgian and vegetarian. It's called stoemp. I don't know if you have tried that.
Yes, this is a guide.
Yeah. It's basically, for the people who do not know, it's a word to say mashed potato with mashed vegetables, and we mash them together. So the process is that you cook the vegetables and the potatoes together in a pot, and then you mash it all, and then we call that stoemp. And can be traditionally it's with carrots, but it can also be with any like seasonal vegetables. Yeah.
Nice.
But obviously it's not super healthy. It's just like vegetables and potatoes. So yeah.
Well, I think there is one interesting thing what Anastasia said, that she is trying to source local but still use recipes or cooking methods or traditions what she's bringing from Italy. And I think this is what we also discussed on one of the sessions about a traditional culinary traditional dietary cultures. Exactly. That if you look at the Mediterranean diet, it has some principles but you can apply in other contexts as well. So you still need to look into what is grown around you and what are the ingredients, what you can source sustainably, but you can apply some of the elements of other diets and create your own recipes, just paying attention how you balance out your nutrition.
But that's because if I can jump in this in this food expert, but there's a problem in communication with the Mediterranean diet. We don't communicate very well. Mediterranean diet doesn't mean that you have to source from the Mediterranean Sea.
Exactly.
It means that you need this a certain way to set up your plates, basically with a certain percentage of vegetables, of legumes, of meat, etc. But that doesn't mean that you have to take the food from the Mediterranean diet. And that's the part of communication, is that it's like a boom right now. Everybody say Mediterranean diet. We should all eat Mediterranean diet, but that doesn't mean that you have to go to Italy to get your tomatoes.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yes, it's also the way that you decide to cook the food is part of the Mediterranean diet. The way your relationship with food, how to decide to heat, no? The conviviality, the time that you spend to heat and to create your plate. So yes, it's a sort of philosophy also, no?
Yeah, true. How long is like? Can I ask? How long is it like in Italy? What is the like average time would you spend in the kitchen?
Good question. Depends on the part of Italy, I think, and because I come from the south of Italy, but I lived in Bologna a lot of time. So, but generally we spend time. Is an important part of the daily, also important part of the family, of the routine in general. Yes, I think that is something that now we are a little bit losing in the last period, also in Italy.
Because we spend more time at the table.
Yes.
Who knows? Drinking before, who knows?
All right. Thank you, Anastasia and Anna, for sharing these thoughts. And now I would like to ask Semi to join me on the screen. I can see her on the list, and she is dialing in from Berlin. Hi, Semi. How are you today?
Hi. I'm good. I'm really good. It's been an interesting day.
All right. So tell us all about it, please.
Yeah. So I woke up. I'm in Berlin, and it's Saturday, so we're lucky because we have farmers markets. So I went and first I checked my kitchen to see what I had, so that I could use up things, because I'm a very zero waste kusha person. I like to use everything before I buy new stuff. So yeah, I did that first, and then I went to the market, and yeah, I want to show you what I made. I'm lucky that I have, I invited one friend, and my flatmate is with me. So yes, 1 second. Let me turn you around. Say hi.
Hi. Hello.
Yeah. And I turned my living room into a dining room. And yeah, these are some of the things I made.
All right, we need a bit of an introduction. You have to tell us, what do we see?
Okay. 1 second. We come back to me.
Yes.
So basically, I used up the potatoes I had, and I made a big thing of mashed potatoes. And to go on top, I made a gravy of mushrooms that I found at the market from a local farmer. I forget the name of the mushrooms, but I made this. I roasted a little bit of Brussels sprouts and parsnips. And that's that. And then these are little fritters made of kohlrabi and purple carrots. And these are cabbage rolls with leftover rice and carrots and onions that I had in the fridge. So basically it's like, use everything in your fridge, find a little bit more from the farmers that are at the market. And yeah, I asked my flatmate to find some climate conscious wine if she could. So we have some local wine that is biodynamic. And I asked my friend to bring a climate conscious dessert, which we have not got to yet, but I'm very excited for it. And yeah, we are just over here trying to talk about the adventures that we all had today, trying to get things and talk to people, which was nice. Right? Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So was that a challenging task to find a climate conscious wine or dessert?
What do you think? Yeah, for the wine,
Yeah.
the wine definitely. First, she tried to go to a couple like smaller shops, but it was a little difficult, and ended up at the bio store, which is nice. And we got a couple options here. This one is what we're drinking now.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good. I would suggest it to you.
All right. Nice wine recommendations for tonight. But can you please, sorry, I need to ask these questions. Why was it challenging in the small stores?
Why was it challenging in the small stores?
Well, two things. Well, the one, they were, hi. I kind of took the task a bit more seriously than maybe just going straight to the bio company. I didn't think about that initially, actually, but I did pass it on the way to the small stores, and I chose not to stop just to see what options are out there. So I initially went to a big alcohol store just to see if these types of wines actually are sold there. I didn't find anything that was eco-friendly. Then I went to a small wine shop that was closed because of Corona. And then I went to a family wine store that had very expensive bottles of eco-friendly, local produced wines. And then on the way back, I went to the bio store, and they had a small section where you can find locally produced stuff. But I went to two big stores. One of the big supermarkets I went to had Spanish and Italian bio wines, but not German. So the small stores, it was just difficult because one was closed and one was quite expensive for wines here. So I kept going with my mission just because I felt that was out of what we were trying to do.
She was very dedicated, which I love. She came back with all the stories.
Yes, I really like it.
And for the dessert, you want to say a bit about your adventure?
I can. Hello. For the dessert, it was kind of interesting because I decided that I'm not a very big fan actually of sweets in general. And I was thinking even like, I don't want to limit it only on locally produced, but I was even thinking like, I somehow understand climate conscious as well, of not getting extreme sugar and now like smashing ourselves from
hardcore sugary stuff. So I was thinking, like, what would I like actually to eat as well? That it's not ice cream that I adore. So I thought, like, okay, something milky. And then I wanted to get a yogurt thing that is between like milk and yogurt. And I realized that there is quite a few different ones, but then I went for a goat one because I never tried the goat one that is produced from the region of Brandenburg. And then I wanted honey that is also produced here, which is very interesting for me because I come from an island in Croatia where my whole family does, as you can guess, honey and wine. So I was like, let me check what is happening out there. And then when it came to walnuts or nuts, it was interesting because I didn't know that in Germany, basically, there's only walnuts and the other one is castagna. I don't know how they call it. Yeah, which is interesting. I didn't know this. And so it was quite a mission to find them, the ones that weren't made or imported. And then I made a small apple crumble made out of 7 different apples that come from the region near Berlin. With the recipe of the mama of the guy that was selling the apples. So I guess I can call it a day now.
Yeah.
Definitely. So
yeah.
How did you find this dinner invitation where you got a task even before you arrived and you had to think about all these?
No,
like,
but it's lovely. Come
honey,
on. With all the social context reduced, I felt like, wow, if this is my New Year's, I accept it as such. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I was excited to give them a couple of tasks so we could talk about it all and see how it went. Yeah.
Very good, very good.
So basically we have a very German table full of food and zero waste food and talking about our adventures. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. So before we hand over to the other table, so Sammy, you also host other very conscious conversations about our food system on a monthly basis. Do you want to maybe tell us a bit about it?
Sure. Yeah, I do. Every month I work with a vertical agriculture company here in Berlin, and they organize a monthly meetup called Food in the City. And I host it and invite people around a certain theme each month to talk about how we can make our food system stronger. And yeah, we've been running it online since Corona started in March. And it's actually quite lovely to have an hour and a half once a month to meet people active in the food scene. And yes, so we'll start again in January, maybe February. So if you'd like to join, I'd love to see anyone there. It's called Food in the City. You can find us on Meetup or Eventbrite. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much. So enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Ciao.
So, let's see. I have a name popping up on my waiting room list because we are waiting for one more person who is actually. Is that you, Maria Sol? So I just let someone in with a random name. I hope that was not a. Yes, there she is. Ciao. You are muted.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hi. How are you? Oh, I see Taralli on the table. Yes.
Taralli, of course.
All right. So tell us. So Maria Sol is also dialing in from Berlin, right? You didn't change locations, right? She's originally from Genova, right? Yes. Okay. So yeah, these details. So please tell us about your climate supper and who do you have over there for your dinner?
Okay, so I'm here in Berlin-Neukölln with Iris. She's a friend I met in Genova and now she came to live to Berlin. And she's in fact a landscaper, an architect. Like she focuses really on the landscape and how to plan sustainable spaces, especially public spaces. So what she does is super interesting. Actually, recently, I don't know if I am allowed to spoil this, but she has been working on the bike as a space to bring in public spaces on which you can build like activity compartments. So you can actually like bring a bike to a public space and do something like what.
And you can move it around a city, so you can move it from one location to another.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And also I have invited to my climate supper Angelo, which is in Genova, and Carlo, which is also in Genova. If he managed to connect, he is still how do you say, taking out the pasta from the water. Oh, yeah, here it comes.
I just admitted his success. He was in the waiting room, so I think the pasta is already out of the water.
Should be. Yeah, and so Angelo is actually I put it in my ecosystem map from Genova because he works with the community, like a social oriented initiative in which they try to redistribute, for example, surplus food to like let's say low-income families and other actors which cannot benefit like from direct food distribution, for example. So it's very interesting what he does. And Carlo is a friend. We play together in the band, also with Angelo. And I thought I would invite him. And he's working in the construction of ships, which is a big sector in Genova. But Israeli is very interested in sustainability, especially food-wise. And so that's why I'm having him tonight. Yes.
Very nice.
And for
So
the menu,
what did you all cook?
okay, so the menu is centered around pasta al pesto, which is of course like a huge dish in Genoa. I don't know if you can see it. And the pesto, I have it, my dad made it because it's like a huge pride point for him to make his own pesto, and he sent it to me to Germany, so it's really wants to like the territorial piecing pesto wise. So it's really delicious, and I tell them to do I told Angela and Carlo to make pasta al pesto for sure, and another dish, hummus, but as we have here hummus. So this is like my to-go recipe for any occasion because it's super easy and super delicious. But also I told them that they could have make it with whatever ingredient they had at home. Just one bean, one cereal, nut, and garlic and lemon and oil. And so you've got a hummus of some kind. So it's very versatile, I would say. And yeah, I have some other things because I had like Iris as a guest, so I had to impress her. So we have like taralli, we have a cheese with the compote, and we have this like salad of radicchio. I'm not sure how you say it in English. And pinion kernels and leek. And yes, that's pretty much it. And we have, of course, some wine.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Very nice. So Angelo and Carlo, which legume did you use for your hummus at the end?
Quale legume avete usato per il vostro hummus?
Come si dice ceci? No, ma l'avevo capito.
Chickpeas.
Chickpeas, yeah.
So both of you went for chickpeas and didn't go to another bean or anything else.
No, we use chickpeas. Almost as far as I'm concerned, I use chickpeas. So I think Angelo too.
All right.
Very traditional in their recipes.
So Angelo, do you want to tell us a bit more about this project or initiative what you're running in Genova? I would love to hear a bit more.
Okay, I can try, but it's pretty difficult to explain it in English for me.
So why don't you explain it in Italian?
In Italian, okay.
People who can translate.
Yeah, I can translate.
It was my next point. Quindi sostanzialmente abbiamo un enorme problema nella distribuzione dai grossisti di frutta e verdura in questa città. I grossisti smaltiscono una quantità enorme di rifiuti, soprattutto nel principale mercato cittadino che è a Bolzaneto. E quasi 10 anni fa abbiamo iniziato questo progetto in cui un gruppo di volontari e ospiti di una comunità terapeutica per tossicodipendenti e marginalità vari e sfigati vari arrivano al mercato, prendono tutto quello che andrebbe buttato, almeno tutto quello che è ancora commestibile, e lo distribuiscono nel corso di tutta la giornata in 2 posti diversi, in 2 quartieri disagiati, a titolo gratuito, ma la differenza con un pacco alimentare classico è che 1 viene tutto da un recupero di tutta roba che andrebbe cacciata, 2 non è un pacco alimentare di cose pronte con un buonismo di merda, ma è una cosa orientata alla proattività dei soggetti e alla capacità di uscire dal...
Un po' che traduco un attimo, Angie. Okay, so I'm translating for the audience. So he was swearing a bit, so I'll try to omit that. But but he said that basically what they do is so there is a problem with the wholesale in Genova, as there is a lot of surplus in markets. So what they do is they organize this network, and Angelo is in fact part of this social initiative, which collaborate with, let's say, addicted somehow to substances or to gambling. It's like a kind of rehab. I don't know how to put it in English. So they have these people which is rehabilitating. They go together to the market and they take out the surplus and they make a new kind of like food package, which is different from the traditional food package for the poor, because is what it comes in the market. So it's like seasonal and local for sure, and it depends on the availability of what is found. And so they redistribute it to low-income families around the territory. Is it okay, Angela? Okay. Yes, and also I want to add that Angelo is super good at zero waste himself, not only food-wise, but also for the materials, because he's a guitarist and he liked to build his own guitar pedal out of whatever electrical gear he finds. And
also out of rubbish sometimes.
Also rubbish. So it's quite interesting what he does.
So you have your own circular system built in every part of your life: music, food, everything.
I try to.
And how do you think? Is it exhausting? Is it tiring to keep thinking about it, or at one point when your brain already works this way, it just becomes completely natural?
No, it's natural to me, but I think because it's almost totally it comes naturally. It comes when I was a kid. And I don't think about it, especially when it comes to musical things or electrical things or soldering and things like that, or food.
Very nice.
I just want to give
out of my curiosity, can you tell me what kind of music are you playing with your band?
Carlo, your time.
Yeah, we're playing some kind of tropical punk. We like to call it tropical punk. That it is a punk, a tropical way to play punk music. So it is a kind of music that you can dance, but it's that kind of music that you can headbang in some sort of way, dancing and headbanging together. I'd like to think it that way, but I don't know if my bandmates are agreeing with me. But kind of punk. It has some reggae influence sometimes, but it's almost punk and
with a social message too. With a social message sometimes.
Yes, yeah. We try to tell what's going on around us, what we see around us, in our songs, in our lyrics, and in our latest album, we tried to explain in our way the problem of the immigrant people, but also there's a little space from environmentalism. So the big themes, the big questions that are of our times, we try to explain in our songs with our point of view. Of course, it's not the truth. It's not a religion, but we try to say something on the matter.
We do need communication ways how to reach our audience, and music is a very good channel, I think, especially when it's enjoyable and people can head bang and like everything and rave for your music in the same time. Maybe you want to drop the name of your brand in the chat so the others can listen to you afterwards. I think it would be very nice. So Maria Sol, Angelo, and so all of your guests, thank you so much. Enjoyed your pasta pesto and have lovely conversations. It was very nice to meet you. And I have the next country and participants lined up here. Amar, very nice to see you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you.
Ciao, ciao. Amar, can you hear me? We cannot hear you. I think your headphones maybe are not connected.
Can you hear me now? Hello.
Yes.
So nice to meet you today. And I come from Syria. Yes.
And you are dialing in from France right now, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm based now in France. It's just 1 year. So, it was 1 year ago.
Okay, so Amar, tell us, what have you prepared for your climate supper?
Okay, not so much actually. It was just I make a rice. Okay, I will show you this. Yes, so you can see here I did made some peanut, yeah, and here I made some rice, a long rice with something like rice, and here so actually it's totally vegan.
Are you following a plant-forward diet?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so it's totally vegan and it's cheap actually. It's not cost a lot. And yeah, it was very nice. Actually, and I have invited my friends and he will come, but I don't know why he is late.
No worries. Today we already had a few guests who were late. It's not a problem. It's very nice that you already prepared a meal for your guests, and you will enjoy it together. Can you tell me, how did you make the decision to cook this specific meal?
Totally by coincidence, actually. So I don't intend to do this. I just like very bright idea, and I don't know. In Arab world, usually we cook the rice with vermouth, like this one. It's called vermouth.
Oh, it's a type of pasta which is very, very thin, right?
Exactly, yeah. Let's cook this with a rice actually, and also I use nuts.
Yes.
Yeah, to make some delicious taste.
So it actually somehow has the taste and the cooking traditions what you bring from Syria, right? Is it something
Exactly.
how you?
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I have shocked that there is some shops here in France. Actually, they offer some Arab dishes, like for example, they know tabbouleh and they know fattoush. This is a kind of Arab food.
Very nice. And do you cook often? Do you cook every day for yourself, or is that now a special occasion?
Honestly, no, not always. not always actually, because I'm always busy with the exams and because I'm studying here, so there's not so much time to prepare and cooking. So usually I bring some ready foods.
I see. So can you, do you want to tell us a bit about your studies? What are you studying?
Yeah, sure. Actually, recently I have finished a first year master degree in food science. Actually, it was related to something called One Health concept, which is combined from food, environment, because we care about the environment, we care about the food, we care about the health. So it's called like something like One Health concept. So combined with my college was from different backgrounds, from medicine background, from yeah, it was a diverse environment, and it was multidisciplinary program. And now I'm doing something similar to that. It's go more for engineering and processing, for food processing. Yeah.
Interesting. And what do you think will be the topic tonight when your friend arrives? What will be the conscious conversation, what you will share with him or her, sorry?
Yeah, it will be like, I will focus for a vegan food and how it was more healthy, I suppose, and delicious at the same time. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. All right, Amar, thank you so much for showing us the dish. And I hope your friend arrives soon and you don't need to wait too long to eat that dinner. And
Yeah.
we will continue our journey for the next 1 hour, 10 minutes. And we are still traveling. Where are we traveling? Let me just see. Thank you, Amar. Have a nice evening. So we will travel to the Netherlands, hopefully very soon, and then to Mexico. We should meet, go back to Italy, and finally we will close in the US. I'm just looking at my list. I think our participant, Olivia, I saw her in the list before, but maybe before she joins again, I can tell you that my food is getting cold and I wish I could eat a bit more. But what I'm very, very proud of, I will show you the bread I made. And do you see those bubbles? I mean, I am very proud. I am bringing up my bread game, I think, and it's 100% dry. Yes, yes. So I am getting better in these things. And I bring one more thing I wanted to show you. So all this fermentation, Jose and the Food Alchemist team had some influence on me, I feel. And Jack, how is your cooking going along?
My cooking's going good. I'm actually, yeah, just about finished my prep right here. So, and I see that we have Olivia coming back now, but I'm at this stage. So
I just quickly proudly show you my kombucha. I am trying to improve. Not the best yet. I didn't achieve the right level of bubbles yet, but the taste is getting there. So soon, not only my bread will look amazing and taste amazing, but also my kombucha. But anyway, thank you for listening to me. And now I would like to introduce Olivia, who recently moved to the Netherlands, and she's dialing in from there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, from the Netherlands. Hello. So I've got my parents on the call with me today.
Hi.
So I was meant to have a few friends over for dinner and to chat about food issues, but unfortunately one of them had COVID symptoms, so couldn't come. But I'd got a Too Good To Go box the other day, which is what I've been using a lot for my food. I'm not currently working, so it's quite a good way to be really innovative with my cooking, but also keep the budget quite low. So then I had a conversation with my parents about lots of different things about food. But I started off sharing the box I got from Too Good To Go and sort of discussing, can you see that? Yeah, nice. So this is what I got the other day. And I quite like, this way of cooking because you're quite innovative. And so what I did was I had to use the food even though no one was coming for dinner. So I made with the ingredients, wait, let me just try and, so I went sort of like Indian style, which is a cuisine I really like. It's gonna work. Yeah, so I made sort of like Bombay potatoes, so cooked with turmeric and then roasted in the oven with the different spices. And then I made a kind of pumpkin curry. So roasted the pumpkin and used sort of like ginger, garlic, coconut and tomato. And then with the kale, I did a sort of like stir-fried spicy mix. And also I don't really like using food waste. So I made some like spicy pumpkin seeds. And also for pudding, I made a pear crumble, which is a very sort of traditional English dessert. But I put speculoos in the crumble to give it a Netherlands edge, which is something they use a lot here. And also in the curries I made, I used a veg stock. So I was watching someone on Instagram and they were saying that they just collect all their food scraps. So like the onion peel, the garlic peel, just like anything they have, and then cook it for like 15, 20 minutes with some other like bay leaves and peppercorns. And I made quite a nice veg stock. So it was a very zero waste meal. And all vegan as well, which was quite accidental.
Very nice. I really like, you are the second one today who actually had this Too Good To Go magic bag cooking approach. We had another team in Italy who did very similar, yet they had more packaged products in their bag and not only fresh ingredients.
The one that I got, I either use an organic supermarket here or In Stock, which in Amsterdam is a zero waste, a waste supermarket. So they also have a restaurant, which unfortunately has been shut the whole time I've been here. But they've used different kind of like business canteens to then set up more distribution points. As obviously there's still food in the supply chain, which isn't being used and it doesn't want to be wasted. Yeah. So I chatted about that with my parents and then sort of spoke about attitudes towards cooking. So I really enjoy cooking, which I feel stems from them. And sort of like how important it is to have awareness of food from a young age and how that then kind of impacts your creativity as you get older. I'm trying to think what else we spoke about. I don't know, parents, do you want to unmute yourself and talk about what you're making and your kind of food drivers? Because I think they're quite different to mine at like different stages in my life.
Well, tonight we're having a free-range chicken and roast sweet potato and a green vegetable. A lot of my cooking is quite quick. I mean, I don't want to be cooking for a long time. I've got other things to do, but quality is very important. Mm-hmm. And also animal husbandry. Like I would never have a chicken that wasn't free range. And I wouldn't buy pork that wasn't outdoor reared. But, you know, we are aware that we do buy a fair amount of quality meat and we're privileged that we can afford it.
Which was a large part of our conversation also, that like for many people, meat is a luxury, especially if you're trying to make more environmentally or ethical conscious decisions. Yeah. And I think the meat that I've eaten the last 2 months since being here has only been from Too Good To Go. And I wouldn't go and buy anything because it's not inside my budget to buy something that has a...
Well, in this country, an organic free-range chicken is about £15, and yet you can buy just an ordinary chicken for £2 or £3. But that chicken has been bred in a...
It's 6 weeks old.
It's had a dreadful life, and you know, one suspects that the food quality is not that good.
Yeah, and it's been fed on grain and soy and things like that, force-fed.
Awful.
Yeah. I think you pointed out a very...
Well, we tend, when we have an organic chicken, we'll also we'll boil up the bones to make the stock, and then we use the stock as flavour for another dish like risotto or something like that.
Yeah. So I think you pointed out a very interesting or very important thing, which is the price difference between chicken for 2 pounds and then the organic chicken for 15, because that's a significant difference. And having lower food literacy, not everyone understands why that price is so different. While with other produce, that price gap is way smaller, yet people would always opt, well, most of the cases people would opt for the cheaper version, because then they think they can buy more, despite the fact even if they don't even need that bigger volume, right? So I think we need to be also more transparent about the pricing of produce. And yes, we also have to understand that not everyone can afford the organic and sustainably produced food. So yeah, these are conversations what we really hope to have on this climate supper. And
Yeah, can I jump in, Julia? Can I jump in the conversation? I want to understand also, so you talked a lot about quality of food, and then you mentioned directly organic and well-being of the animals. What are the other criteria when you mentioned quality of food? What does that actually mean to you besides organic?
For us.
Freshness. When was it picked? How was it picked? The travel time. Has it come from the other side of the world, or has it been grown locally? Is it seasonal?
Chemicals.
How do you see this information? How do you get this information easily?
Well, if you go to a supermarket and it's packaged, it will say where it was grown. Is it green beans from Kenya, which have probably been grown here?
But that's
so we wouldn't buy them out of season.
Transparency.
And organic, one assumes, has fewer chemicals.
So would chemicals be the quantity of chemicals on your food would be more important than the let's say the distance that the food
both are important.
Both. But if you have to choose one, would you?
I would sooner go for locally grown produce in fields near us than anything flown in from Peru or Kenya or Egypt.
Okay. So, and do you live in UK?
Yes, UK.
Yeah, we live in
correct.
Yes.
How do you have? So, how are the markets in UK? Is that something that is usual, or is it pretty new? Is this something that it's only for young people, older people? How are the habits towards markets?
Well, the supermarkets label where the food comes from, and there are street markets where you can get produce. A lot of that does tend to be local, and that's not labeled. You often have to ask, where has this come from, or what's this about? Yeah.
Do you do that? Do you ask?
Yes, yeah, I do actually. I don't like food that's been flown in from across the world when it could be grown locally.
And it's also eating seasonally. Why have strawberries at Christmas time when they're a summer crop?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I also
thank you, Julia. I just wanted to talk about that because I had this experience with these markets and organic, and recently I've been through a lot of markets around Brussels. I had more time and I was banking around Brussels, and I could really see a lot of markets. And so I was paying attention of the products of the who are managing the markets, and then I was realizing but it's more the experience of the market for most of the consumer rather than actually the product itself. And so when I was looking at the market, like half of some market, obviously, it was basically probably the same products like in the supermarket. It was just not packed, but it looked fresh. It looks organic, and then people would be more confident with this food. But when you actually ask the people where did you get this food, etc., then you ended up with actually the same supplier than the supermarket. So I was a bit, it's all about the storytelling around the market. And obviously in a market you have black and white, obviously. So yeah, interesting. The market story. The market is probably one of the interesting storyteller somehow.
Definitely. So thank you I hear my. Um, Thank you for raising this point, Anna. I actually had this a very similar situation in Berlin that markets started to be more common and in more areas, and everyone by default assumed if it's called a market or a weekly market, then it's a farmer's market, and then the farmers are coming to sell their own produce, while 80% of the stands were actually buying things in the big wholesale market. And so the exact same thing, and it was not necessarily from the region. So communication is indeed very important. And Olivia, thank you so much for connecting us with your family as well. I don't know where they are based in the UK, but I'm pretty sure they have Too Good to Go there as well, or at least in some of the cities. No, not where you are based. Ah, okay. So, well, you have to introduce them the products when they visit you in the Netherlands, maybe. All right. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your meals. In the meanwhile, we have one more local host who joined us. Well, she's dialing in from Cyprus, if I'm not mistaken, but
Julia, I cannot hear you. I don't know if it's just me. Can everyone else hear Julia?
No, I don't hear her anymore.
Just lost her there.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Here you are again, Julia. Okay. No problem.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know how long you heard me, but Eleni, if you want to say a few words, please.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thanks for the invite. It's great to be in this space with you all again from all over the world. I enjoyed listening to the talk about food markets and the accessibility and transparency of foods, because interestingly, I was speaking with someone in Japan today, and they told me about this concept. It's called Machino Eki, which is apparently these open farmers markets in different cities, like prefectures, especially rural areas, where farmers go and basically distribute their foods through this farmers market for the public, but their price competes at the same level as mass-produced foods that they take from non-organic farmers. So it's interesting to see the other side of farmers markets and where there's room for improvement. And I just wanted to bring it up because I've never heard of it before, and I was introduced to it today. Other than that, unfortunately, no farmers markets in Cyprus at the moment because of COVID, as you know. But my latest farmers market experience was actually in Bologna in February, because I left since, and then COVID spread, so I hadn't had the chance to go to farmers market since. So pretty good experience.
Yeah, hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. So I quickly introduce our other local host who joined, Gesina, and then we need to go to Mexico. So Gesina, where are you dialing in from now?
I am calling in from a place where these beauties grow. So I'm right now on Maui in Hawaii.
Very nice.
And these taste so much better when they're local.
Yes, definitely. We had this conversation about mangoes with Jose before today. You're also on a farm, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or you are working with a farm there?
Yes, I'm not on the farm right now, but there is a growing trend of regenerative agriculture in Maui, Hawaii. And one really stunning fact is that about 90% of the food to this specific island that's really disconnected from everywhere, 90% of the food is imported, even though they have perfect conditions to grow food on the island. And the issue was that most of the farmland was used for sugarcane production. And a few years ago, the sugarcane has vanished because the prices were just too low. So now we see more farmers growing food. And that's one of the reasons why I'm very interested on this island, to work with these farmers and help them grow food again to feed their own people. Because food is very expensive because it travels from so far away to this island.
Yeah. All right. Nice to have you here. Thank you. How are you, Eduardo?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Long day, very delicious meals and very conscious conversations. So what have you prepared for your climate supper or more lunch, because it's still earlier for you during the day?
Well, I didn't prepare anything too hard to do it. I basically went with simple ingredients, and let me tell you why. So the dinner is more of a snack with simple, natural, shelf-stable foods. The ingredients come directly from a tree that, additionally to the food that it provides, it's also a climate solution because the service it gives to the planet for absorbing carbon. So the reason of focusing on natural shelf-stable foods, it's because I see a big part of the food choices depend on time available. Some people can cook, but I believe that most of the people that is working the whole day, they do not have the time to cook. So these people, they just go to where they can get some food access and also to convenient foods that they can transport into their daily lives. The common foods that are available on convenient and long shelf-stable food stores are mostly composed on sugar with water, salty fried foods, and sugar with ingredients. So the two simple ingredients I'm about to present, it's basically, you can see them here. Well, these are the fresh figs, just as an example, but these are the dried figs. And why am I showing you just pecans and figs? Because it could be a solution to get long shelf stable foods with more nutritious approach that are transportable, and basically that people could feed with less grams of this food and get more nutrition with it. That's the main reason I don't actually cook, being honest. Is my wife the one that cooks, and I wanted to show something what I get access every day. I wake up really early. I'm into the farming industry, and it's hard for me to take the time to cook. But I have made this way of life of getting shelf-stable foods at some times of the day in order to get some nutrition into my body. When I get home late at night, that's when I get fresh food. But I believe this is a way of life of a lot of people that they do not have the time. But there is a solution with dried foods, natural dried foods, in order to get more nutrition into our bodies and get less food that maybe it's accessible and they are long shelf stable, but they're not really nutritious in my perspective. So that's basically my dinner snack. And thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Eduardo. I am not sure if you can hear me.
I do.
Jeff, maybe you can.
Yes.
Yeah, but maybe you can take over till I fix the connection here. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry, now I've actually started cooking myself, so let me just, so that you can hear me. Eduardo, one question for you. How long have you been waiting to eat that?
What, the figs or the pecans?
All of it.
I just ate some before the call, being honest.
Okay, cool. And I didn't actually catch exactly. Did you source your food
from our farms? I'm a fig producer and a pecan producer.
Your own farm?
Yes.
Cool. Very nice. Well, thanks very much, Eduardo. It looks great, and I think that I'll leave you to it. So if you want to start eating away there, and then you can still continue in the chat if you wish. And jump to Maria. So, hello, Maria. I believe Maria is in Where are you based, Maria? Okay, can you please give us a little intro? Just tell us your story, please.
So first of all, I'm really excited to be part of this event today. And I watched a little bit of the previous sessions of this morning, and it was really amazing and insightful. Yes, I will introduce a little bit myself. So I'm 23, and I'm really passionate about sustainability and circular economy. My background is on international relations and development issues. But recently I developed this super huge interest towards food and everything that is related to it. So before starting to explain what I prepared and who are my guests, I would like to show you the table I prepared as if my guests were here, but of course they are not because of COVID-19. But yes, I think it's time to introduce them. So my guests are Chiara and Clelia, which I hope they are among us now. And basically I met Clara, sorry, this is my dog who is drinking. I met Chiara and Clelia one of the first days of university. And the reason why I decided to invite them is because I truly believe that they are good potential food and climate shapers. So what we have done is a little bit different, I guess, from the others. So we basically put on the table collaboration, which is this super cool word that we have learned in one of the previous sections we have done during the bootcamp. And so we got in contact and we said, okay, we don't have a lot of expertise in food and we are not chefs, but we can still make something meaningful. So we basically decided to pick 3 words that are kind of keywords for us in order to foster a more resilient and better future. So I decided, and of course with these words, we turn these words into a recipe, if that makes sense. So I decided the word local, and for this reason, I will explain you in a while my recipe, which is super local. And then Clelia decided for the word conscious diet, and she will explain us her vegan pizza. And then Chiara made something out of the orange peels, and so her theme was waste reduction. So I think I can start showing you my recipe. Just a second. I don't know if you can see it really well. So basically this is called risotto con amarone e radicchio. So there are 3 main ingredients. The rice, of course. So the rice, I've got it from Isola della Scala, which is a little village around Verona. And the area is really famous to be grown a lot of varieties of rice. And every year it also hosts a really big event where you can enjoy a lot of types of rice and also rice recipes. But unfortunately this year it was canceled because of the situation. And then there is the red lettuce, which I bought from the local farmer. From a local farmer here nearby Verona. But the main ingredient of the recipe is this, which is Amarone della Valpolicella. I think it has an international fame, so some of you might know it. So basically it's a really special, delicious, tasty red wine, which only grows in the hills of Verona. So we are really lucky because we have it here, like in 10 kilometers, you can enjoy the hills and also the wine. And so you can use it also as a drink, but also in a rice, which is kind of weird maybe for some people, but it's really good and it's really tasty. So yes, another missing ingredient is Monteveronese, which is a special cheese. But my mom cannot eat lactose, so she needs lactose-free products, and that was not the case. So I didn't put it in my risotto. So yes, that was my recipe, and I think that now my guests want to maybe share their recipes as well.
So Alia, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. start? Yeah, here we go. Sorry, I was trying to show everyone the result of our recipe, but it's not ready yet, so I'll explain it to you. I decided to cook pizza tonight. We have this tradition in my family, and quite every Saturday night we cook pizza at home. Yeah, and this time I decided to prepare my pizza with vegan ingredients, so without putting mozzarella on it, but preferring some slices of onion, some peppers, and that's it. This is because when a few years ago I started a plant-based diet. Precisely, I was a vegetarian, so I was eating animal-derived ingredients, but not meat nor fish, and that was kind of an experiment. And since then, I've changed a little bit my approach to food. So I reintroduced meat in my diet, but trying to pay a little more attention to the way it was produced, basically. And in this period, I'm trying to also to eat a kind of vegan recipes as well, even if I'm not vegan. But I like to eat vegan from times to times. And I really like the idea to put together this responsible view of food with a very a tradition which I am really connected with. And so yeah, I hope that maybe before the end of this little space I will be able to show you the pizza. And but for now I will let Chiara explain about her recipe.
Okay, so hi everybody. So since my word, like my concept was waste reduction, and since we're living in a society where basically waste is, can you hear me by the way? Okay, we're living in a society where waste is basically, you can find it everywhere, and everybody thinks that it can be recycled, it can be reused, and we're trying, like, as environmentalists, we're trying to take waste and like take something good out of it. So basically, I tried to make some kind of dessert out of orange peels. So since it's like orange time, I guess, so we're eating a lot of oranges. I had some leftovers from like juice and stuff. So I tried, okay, so this is basically my recipe, my dish. It doesn't look very good, but it's tasty. I tried it. So it okay, it tastes nice. And it was basically just with orange peels, sugar, water, and chocolate. And the idea was that since we while talking to Maria and while she was explaining to us what she was trying to like learn from your course, we tried and we focused on the fact that waste is a word that doesn't really exist in the food production market or in the kitchen, like in general. So what I tried to do was to instead of just like throwing away my orange peels, try to find a better way to use them and to recycle them. And yeah, I think this is one of the best ways we can try to make like better, like try to find creative ways, creative recipes from leftovers, or yeah, something that like usually we could just throw away basically. And yeah, that was my kind of recipe. Thank you.
That's beautiful, Chiara. Thank you so much for sharing your philosophy on that. I see that you also have Valeria and her friend there, right? Are they with you, Maria?
Sorry, can you repeat? Because I think I lost the connection.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. Valeria there is also with you?
No, only Chiara.
Oh, excuse me, that's with Valeria, excuse me. Okay, so and with that, I will your guest. That was very, very nice. And I'll jump now, still in Italy, I believe, to Ilaria and her guests. And Maria and Chiara, please feel free to continue if you wish. And so I will please jump to Ilaria. So thank you, Maria and guests.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
So my guests today are Ottavia, Denise, and Valeria with Alessio in the same chat room. And so we're like dinner, but also appetizer was focused on the challenge that I would like to recognize to Ottavia, Lego for Future. So it was based to find recipes with legumes or like foods and recipe without like meat content. Meat proteins, so alternative foods, like for example, then Ottavia will show you, I will give the stage to her about like their frittata. I don't know, maybe in English it's like a recipe with eggs, but without eggs, and also polpette is like meatball without meat, but made with the lentil. So we opened this discussion about legumes, how they can be important, like speaking about the environment today, but how in reality in our culture is they are not so exploited from the nutritional value. Here in Italy there is this big consumption of red meat, and we are also investigate how we consume so much meat in our culture. We speak about the status symbol that acquired this red meat, the importance to be in our table, also if we don't like we don't need so much meat. And yes, I would like to give the speech to my guests because we open a really interesting conversation with them. So who want to start?
I can start, as you mentioned me. And first of all, thank you very much, Ilaria and everyone, for this opportunity. I'd like to start with a funny thing about me. The fact is that my mom is a vegetarian and my father is a butcher. So I've always lived trying to understand which way was the right one. And as Ilaria was saying, our discussion that we had before was very nice, because I think that in Italy, we don't speak enough about legumes, and I've been researching about legumes in some months now, also thanks to my master. And as Ilaria was saying, I've prepared 2 recipes. And one thing that I realized just when she was speaking is that even if I have many recipes with legumes, for this occasion, I made food that I could share. So even if I'm alone, I've prepared things that I could pass to other people. Even if we are in lockdown, I always think of the day when we will meet again and we'll be together sharing the plate. But it's already super nice that we are here. And so I made these meatballs without the meat, but with the lentils. I hope you can see them. And also, it was very nice what the girls before us were saying about using the leftovers, for example, with the orange peels, because these meatballs are actually made with the lentils that I've already cooked like yesterday. And I've just add the rice and only a little bit of flour, and that's it. And I think it worked pretty well, and they are cooked in the oven. And the other thing that I've prepared is the kind of frittata, but with the flour of chickpeas and without any eggs. So it's just the flour of chickpeas, water, oil, and onions. Yeah, it's somebody said it is like a healthy arancini, and they taste like arancini. I know that probably somebody in Sicily is dying, but also my mom said that they taste like arancini, that is a very traditional food from the south of Italy. I would like to pass the word to the other guest of Ilaria's table, saying that why I think it's important that we have focused on this topic of legumes is that they are very healthy, not only for us, for our health, and my intestine is thanking me, but also because they are super good for the soil and for the planet. And I think that it's a nice way to experiment with legumes, because you also understand how many other food and not only animal protein you can use in your kitchen. So I would give the word to maybe Valeria and Alessio. You want to go?
So thank you, Ottavia, for sharing your recipe and your plate, and also for virtually sharing the food with us, even though we're not together. We will be at some point, hopefully. Thank you, Ilaria, for having us as well. So we had super nice conversations, starting with Ottavia's challenge, which is eating legumes at least once a day for as long as possible, as I know. So this is very important for people's health and for planet's health, as well as someone was saying before. But also we discussed a lot about the not so sexy side effect of legumes. And Ottavia actually told us that that side effect is actually
it's gonna disappear.
It's gonna disappear as long as you eat more legumes, basically. And also we talked a lot about how and why people don't eat that many legumes nowadays, and we all concluded that maybe it's because of lack of time sometimes, because you need to soak them, then you need to know how to prepare them, and maybe what is going to disappear, the side effect of eating legumes. We spoke a lot about why aren't people eating more legumes, as we should be eating more legumes. And the fact is that people don't have enough time maybe for in their lives to prepare and to cook them, or they don't find them sexy. In fact, if you look at our plate, this pumpkin lentil soup does not appear very sexy, I think.
But it's actually really nice and really healthy.
It's super healthy and super nice, and actually for people that like multitasking, it's a thing that should be on the weekly menu, because you just cut some pumpkin, you dump it some lentils, then you forget it for like 1 hour and a half, 2 hours. The more you cook it for, the longer you cook, the better it is. And
yeah, that's also we also have a discussion about how like legumes were actually important for traditional culture of gastronomic culture, like many dishes of the traditional like Italian tradition, but also like I guess other cultures include legumes in their diet, in their dishes. So that's also really important to know, because sometimes we can also learn from the ingredients of our culture dishes. So tradition also can tell us something about this. And
yeah, I'd basically give the floor to Denise, who was talking a lot about sexifying legumes with marketing, and I think she has a super nice view on this. So Denise can take over.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me, Ilaria, and thank you everyone for being here. I'm very passionate about food, and I'm from Sicily. So Ottavia, I love meatballs and veggie meatballs because I'm vegetarian. But I wish I would taste like arancini when I'm eating them. So there is the rice. I think just changing the rice with the lentil in this case, you did it. So my recipe was a gluten-free pizza, because I love also, I don't know, mentioned before the time someone before also prepared pizza, and I have also the same tradition, and I love to do pizza on my own. But I discovered to be allergic to the gluten. I'm not celiac, but I'm intolerant, and so I tried to do my own recipe, just using gluten-free flour, and then extra olive oil and water. So it's very easy to do, just 5 minutes, and then on top you can add any veggies. Basically, you can make your own pizza. But a part of this, during our conversation, I discovered about something that I didn't know about it. I would like, I think it was Ilaria and Ottavia talking about the brand of the consumer. Yeah, so I think that was very, very interesting to discover about we as consumers can have the power to decide with which kind of products we can buy and at what price we will wish to buy those products. And I think this is a very important topic right now, especially after the crisis we are living, and not everyone has accessibility to food. Yeah, so Ilaria, please.
Yes, also Eleni asked about the pasta made of legumes, and we touched this in our conversation, and we said that yes, it's sometimes too expensive because they have to process all the legumes, and yes, it has a different taste, but I think that sometimes you can eat to also change and vary your diet. It's like a product that is very interesting. For example, this morning I found in my kitchen pasta made of legumes, but I bought like 3 years ago. It was like hidden. And today my mom bought like a box of pasta of legumes that was so different. So I think that in the 3 years, the research and development of the industry changed a lot and develop more interesting products. And yes, I think that also the industry is trying to figure out a solution also in this like type of product. Also the consumer is changing his mind slowly. So I also cooked something. It was like also for the aperitivo. It was like I finished chickpeas made in the oven, but with like some curry, salt, oil, and rosemary, and it's like very crispy. It's so nice for aperitivo instead of like, for example, dry fruits. This is an alternative solution. So I would like to thank you all, Valeria, Alessio, Ottavia, and Denise, for joining me in this conversation. Very, very interesting.
Thanks a million. So too. Super interesting, and super interesting, and thanks a million for sharing. And next we are joined by Caroline. If you're there, Caroline, please.
Hi.
Hey there, Caroline. How are you?
Hi,
so please,
everyone.
Please introduce where you are and what you're having to eat today.
Great, thanks. So I'm here in Charleston, South Carolina. It's 2:30 here, and I'm actually by myself having this meal. I ate a similar meal with my family about 2 hours ago, but I think I have kind of an interesting meal, and I actually it ties into the local discovery that I just did a little while ago. So I live in Modena, Italy. I've lived there for 4 years, and there I run a nonprofit that is working with migrant women and teaching them professional skills to get good jobs in different industries. But sorry, I have my dog barking in the background. And one of the programs that we have is a culinary training program. So it's really interesting because right now we're working with 4 women from Ghana and Nigeria who were cooking their food tradition, different dishes, but at the same time, we're also teaching them kind of professional cooking skills so that they will be ready to integrate into the workforce. But at the same time, we're sharing these dishes with our local Modena community who has never tasted this cuisine before to kind of socially integrate as well. And this project is also really near and dear to my heart because I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, which has been so greatly influenced by the Gullah Geechee culture, which comes from enslaved West Africans who were doing all of the cooking a long time ago in Charleston. So where I bought this food from a local business here, a Black-owned, woman-owned business. And basically, I have a little bit of everything, but some of the dishes are very influenced by the same dishes we're making in Modena with these African women. So first, what I'll show you is we have red rice. So red rice, it's usually red rice and beans. It can be black-eyed peas. It can come with collard greens. But when we cook it, the original dish that's from Ghana and Nigeria is called jollof rice, which it's kind of like a tomato-based risotto as well. It can be more spicy or less spicy. Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
I think you're back. I think it's
okay.
All good.
Sorry.
Thanks.
So it can be more or less spicy depending on the family that's cooking it. And jollof rice has always been a celebratory dish. There's actually like also a jollof rice war between Ghana and Nigeria to see who makes the better jollof. And so anyway, this has become like an important dish that a lot of Charlestonians know and eat. It's even at some of the best restaurants in Charleston, but few people know kind of like the origins. Same with like another dish that I have here, which is okra soup. So we've been making Nigerian and Ghanaian okra stew and okra soup in different cooking workshops that we've done. And usually in Nigeria and Ghana, they'll also pair it with fufu or bankum, which is like a sticky, starchy bread that is used to dip in the stew. Now in Charleston, we eat it like we would any other soup with a spoon, but the original way of eating it would have been like eating it with your hands.
Wow, it sounds great. Can I ask you, what's the name of your organization, just so we can share it with the group here?
Of course, it's called the Association for the Integration of Women. I can also post the link on the chat so people can have a look. And we are a very young organization, but we're hoping this year in 2021 to open a restaurant, which will house our training program and our ethnic restaurant in Modena.
Wow. Fantastic.
And then
amazing.
I guess sorry. Just to tie it into what I went over to MUSC, which is a medical university of South Carolina. It's a research and academic institution that's really important here in South Carolina. And I was over at their urban farm earlier. And it's so interesting because there, Carmen Ketron, who was featured in my local discovery, has kind of championed a research project that has a sister farm in Ghana, and they're growing some of these produce and then reporting back to them on sustainable farming practices, ways they can be more efficient, they can like produce greater quantities to feed their communities. And then like the second iteration, they put the exact same farm and the same produce in a cafe here in North Charleston, which is an area where there's a large Black community here living in Charleston. So in Ghana and in Charleston, they're growing the same produce and they're preparing these dishes in slightly different ways because of the evolution of the cuisine.
Amazing. That's really, really cool. I think you've got a comment on that, do you?
Yeah, I just wonder, you know, the climatic environment, I imagine, would be very different in Charleston than in Africa. How do you account for that, or what changes do you make?
Well, I'm not by any means a climate expert, so, but Carmen, who's the farm coordinator, actually informed me that Charleston actually has a similar climate. It's very hot, it's humid here. And she even told me that actually in Italy, in Modena, she thinks that we could also grow a lot of these produce, I suppose, in the like spring and summer months. So there at MUSC, they decided to do this farming project a long time ago because since it's a research institution, it brings doctors and students from all over the world. And these individuals weren't able to kind of like taste some of their cuisine from home. So from like celebrating a multicultural standpoint, they decided to just try to grow produce from Indonesia, Thailand, from all over the world. And then they were creating these moments where like the doctors could get together and meet each other's cultural cuisines. And then actually this volunteer, he's from Ghana, and he came to MUSC because he had a relative who had to have a surgery. And while he was there, he just started working on this farm, and they started to experiment with some of these Ghanaian produce. And he's actually the one that was able to take it back to Ghana, and he's running the farm there. And that's part of a project called the Okrasi Project.
That's so fascinating. What a great circular approach to things and connecting both ends. I assume there that the education too on both sides, you know, so like really connecting consumers or different cultures.
Exactly. And
just
so
the link for sure. I'd love to look into this more. Thank you for sharing.
Of course. I was just going to say, I'm breaking up a little bit, so stop me or chat me if I'm off. But the town is called Okrasi in Ghana, and it's actually a teaching town, apparently. So across from the farm is also a Montessori school. They're running like women-run mills where they're like pressing produce to create grains. So there's a lot of circularity in what they're doing, and kind of experimenting on how that could be brought over in another city in Charleston. And hopefully we can also be a third kind of connection in Modena as well, which would be really exciting, because similar to how, you know, the food was transformed, and here it is now at this Bertha's Cafe, which is also like, this is where I got the food. It's a James Beard winning restaurant in 2017, woman run, and kind of similar to like that journey that like brings us to this version of these dishes that I'm about to eat today. We're doing the same kind of experimentation in Modena, because we're trying to substitute when we can, like some ingredients to be more local, trying to make sure that like things are going to be palatable to people who have never tasted the food before. So it's going to be its own kind of evolution, which we're working on right now.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Caroline. I'm very happy that you could also show us, so talk about the project in Modena, but also talk about something where you grew up and how all these things connect to each other. And please enjoy your meal now before it gets too cold. So while we are waiting for our very last participants to join from Portland, I also know that we have Sarah and a few other Future Food team members on the line or online with us. And I would love to see what happened there since the morning. We saw Sarah needing some bread. And
yeah, actually, I still have, the pasta is cooking, so I need still 3 minutes, but I can show you what we prepared to start.
Very good.
So let me just see if I can move it. So we prepared some veggies from the season, and actually I still have some basil. So I know it's not from the season, but it grows in my garden. And so we prepared some pesto because we have Virginia here. Ciao. And Virginia, she comes from Liguria. And Liguria is actually the region where pesto comes from. And so tonight we decided to celebrate the origin of Virginia. So Liguria is really famous for Italy for pesto, probably is famous also around the world, made with basil. And so we decided to do pasta with pesto tonight.
Can you tell us the difference between the Genovese and the Ligurian pesto?
Oh, but Genova is the capital of Liguria. I want the real Ligurian one to talk to you about pesto.
Sorry, then it's a geographic.
Wait,
we can hear you.
Okay.
So it's a geography lesson for me in this case, not necessarily a food lesson. I'm sorry about that. So Liguria is the region, and Genova is the capital. Okay,
exactly.
Great. So This is the second dinner tonight where we have pasta.
I just go to take the pasta. I leave you with the veggies.
Okay.
Yeah. And pesto is typical from Liguria in general. And pesto is typical from Liguria in general, but especially from Genova Pra. That is a neighborhood in Genova where there are a lot of pesto makers and basil.
We had Maria Soa, who is also from Genova. She's based in Berlin. She also had a cross-country dinner, and everyone was assigned the task to cook pasta al pesto. So a lot of pesto on our climate supper tonight. And did you also make the pasta yourself? So I am doing all the tricky questions I'm asking.
Yeah. I can do gnocchi. That is the typical pasta you can eat with pesto. It's easy. It's with potatoes and flour and water. And this is easy, but no, tonight we eat normal pasta. Penne thing. So
very good.
Yeah.
I
but
also
we made
saw
the
Sarah
pesto.
needing some. Sorry. I also saw Sarah needing some bread dough in the morning.
Yes, it's here. Wait, I will show you. Come si fa a girare? Qua. Ecco, here. Sarah's
nice.
bread. See? It's really, really soft. And we have some veggies, from seasonal veggies. The pumpkin, tacole, and other thing. Yes, and here there's exact. Here. And I think the pasta is almost ready. Yeah, okay, she's coming with the pasta with pesto.
Very good. So you finally can start eating.
Yes.
It's about time now, 8:45.
Yeah, 8:45.
Very good. So please, if you can, just stay online with us for the final words. I am still waiting for Abby to connect, but now maybe we can ask Jeff, how is that purple carrot, potato, broccoli dish going over in Mallorca?
It's going good. It's going good, thanks. So I got a little from it, so the bottom of it is kind of slightly burned, but it's still good. I'm just about to do the most exciting part, I would say, which is adding the honeycomb glaze. So again, this is purple. Everything's local, so everything's grown here. I got it from the ecological market this morning. So we got purple carrots, which are my favorite, which I absolutely love. We got red garlic, which is slightly purple, which I also enjoy. We got potatoes that are local, and some broccoli and cauliflower. And it's just about kind of done here now. I'll just hit my, well, actually, I guess I'll show you. So I don't usually cook with a pan like this for this kind of thing, but my other pan is actually destroyed, so I had no choice. So I will just throw in this. So one thing I was kind of saying earlier, thinking earlier about the local produce is, so yeah, good question. Who knows? I certainly don't know, because yeah, it was given as a sort of a novelty kind of a thing. I hadn't even eaten it before, but I really enjoyed it. It's actually fantastic. And I know that this particular apiculture operation is sustainable anyway, as far as, so not too bad. Really, it's delicious. So I'm going to glaze my carrots with the honeycomb, and I think it's going to be seriously good, and it kind of melts nicely in there. So yeah, and so the kind of journey to find the local food. So I've only been living here now for like a year and a half. So I started the journey fresh, really climbing along the supply chain in order to find the local ecological stuff. And it was actually a really interesting, really kind of enjoyable journey in which I kind of, made some great connections, business connections. starting to get other little operations going here as a result. So I would say, you know, the buying local thing is kind of a no-brainer really, because in my experience, the food tastes better. You have a nice little connection with your local farmer, and you go and buy from the same guy each week or the same lady, and you know, they say hi, they know you by name. It's sort of a nice experience. And I learned actually in Polica that when you know where your food comes from, it drastically changes your sort of, even your kind of how nice it tastes when you know where it comes from. So if I go to the farmer and I take, you know, this broccoli and he tells me that he cultivated in such a way, whatever, I go to the farm and I see it there, I think it's just so much better. I absolutely love it. And I can see that Abby is still not here, so I'll just continue for a second, I guess.
No worries, Jeb. You can also just start glazing your dish, and maybe I do a little recap of today before Abby arrives. So for those who joined us later, oh, and there she is in the waiting room. So maybe I do it after she tells us what she prepared in for her lunch. And I think she's also bringing in some other guests. So let's just wait for Abby to connect. Hi, Abby.
Hello. Hi, I'm here in Portland.
Hi. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. It's been fun to follow along with some of the suppers and lunches and dinners in different locations. I have some guests joining also from my virtual supper or lunch here in Portland. Oh, Sarah, that looks beautiful. Okay. I have Celeste has joined, and see there.
And I can see Hannah as well.
Hannah, Yep.
Are you still waiting for someone else?
Yes. We had a group of about I guess six of us. As Madison is there.
Madison is also here, yeah.
Also from Portland. So Celeste, Hannah, Madison.
I will keep an eye on the waiting room. So maybe you can tell us what was your theme for today.
Excellent. Yeah. So I gathered a virtual group of people who are working in different aspects of food and sustainability from I don't know if Adrian has joined. Adrian is a baker who also facilitates a whole grain bulk buying group, so where people can purchase in wholesale, and she works a lot with the wheat farmers. I have Celeste here from Sanctuary Farms, who does a lot with food and healing, and just a lot of interesting stories shared from her culture as a Mexican American, and shared a delicious dish. Hopefully we can share what everyone has presented here. Madison is the co-chair of Slow Food here in Portland, and recently won actually at the Snail Blazers Award, a National Slow Food Award. And she works for an interesting organization called Salmon Nation. That's looking at, I hope I don't know if I can relay this very well, but a part of our conversation was around looking at the indigenous wisdom around dealing with climate and how to move forward in some of our food issues, and innovating based on what we can learn from these traditional cultures. And who am I forgetting here? Hannah is a writer and writes all about the sorts of regenerative agriculture in wine and wheat and the cannabis industry in this area, and all sorts of interesting, we've had a really wonderful conversation. I don't know if Josiah and Natalie or Bree have also joined, but also them come from a kind of culinary food production background, utilizing food waste. Bree works for a meat wholesaler in this company, but lives on a 6-acre farm. And so what she shared was greens just picked from her garden, some ham from pork that they raised and slaughtered, and eggs from their chicken. And she has a really beautiful kind of closed loop system where she lives in Washington. And we also shared a bit about how much local winter produce we all just purchased. The following weekend prior, we had a Fill Your Pantry event through Friends of Family Farmers, which is an organization here that connects consumers to a range of small agriculture in this area. And so you can give you an opportunity to bulk buy pumpkins, cabbage, squash, all sorts of things that you can store through the winter directly from the farms. So I shared a couple of dishes that were produced from this bulk buying. So I made a pumpkin bread that, should I share my dish now? Okay, I'll share a couple of my dishes. And so we have this beautiful, I think this is a type of kabocha squash from one of the farms that we purchased from last weekend. I think it's Sun Gold Farms. And I used extra sourdough starter that I had from making sourdough. I put it into a bunch of different things. In this case, I made a pumpkin bread. I made several little loaves, but it's a cute little pumpkin bread that turned out nice with that, this is the fresh pumpkin. And then here I also got a purple barley salad. See if you can see that. Has some hazelnuts in there and some kale and mint and radish from my garden. The purple barley is really delicious. It's from Tuality Farms. It's what we determined. And in Oregon, we produce a lot of hazelnuts, like filberts. So I do also have some of the hazelnut meats that I just roasted and use as a topping that I've also been snacking on as we've been having our conversation. And again, I feel like this is we had a very stimulating conversation that could have continued for a lot longer. But do we have a moment for anyone else in Portland to share what okay, great. Would anyone else like to share what you all made? You can feel free to just unmute.
I'll share. This is Adrienne. I can share. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I was
Hi,
having trouble.
Adrienne. Tell us what
Hi.
you have.
So I made today some flatbread from sour. I made it with the leavening of sourdough discard and local durum, which was grown here in Oregon. And then from the same farm, I made some hummus with garbanzo beans these are part of the same farming system. And I get them in 50-pound bags, both of the grain and the garbanzo beans, and they are shelf stable for a long time. And I do share them, like we have like a buyer's group here, so I can get through the 50-pound bags quickly. But if I don't, then I can keep them on the shelf for a year, 2 years. And they make really great food for a long time with very little packaging, and it's delicious. And we just had our Hanukkah celebration last night. So this is the kind of food that I would like make these pita and have them in the freezer, and I can pull them out and make them very quickly. And same with the hummus. So it's like easy food. I can make it once a week and it's just there when we need it. So that's what I made. And it's really fun to be here. Thank you so much for hosting this.
Thank you, Adrienne.
Yeah, it was fun. I also got to meet a lot of my fellow Portlanders today.
Very good. Would you mind sharing very quickly with us, how do you use the sourdough discard for the flatbread? It would be very useful, I think. A lot of people discard a lot of sourdough, including me. So please share a bit of a trick with us.
Okay. So here's my trick, because I do teach sourdough. That's what I teach to home bakers. So my main trick is actually to feed your sourdough in smaller amounts in general. So I feed my sourdough once a week, like, even if I'm not baking, which never happens anymore, but I always feed it once a week in small amounts. And I always have just a small amount left. And since I'm feeding it once a week, the discard is not that old, and I can use that discard to make these sourdough. I can, I don't need like fresh, so it's perfect for that. So my main trick is just to produce less sourdough discard to start with. If you're feeding small amounts once a week, you can take that the night before you bake anytime during the week and build it into a levain that will make your bread. So that saved me a lot of waste, and I highly recommend doing that.
You can also freeze it though, right, Adrienne? That's what you taught me. Is I have a little jar in my freezer that I just keep adding the discard to, and then like once a month, waffles or crackers or whatever.
Exactly. But so if you freeze it, you're really not going to get that much leavening power from it. But you can still use it for flavorful. I usually would, if I was freezing it and saving it like that, I would make crackers, because you don't really need leavening, but you just need, you want the flavor. So, but for these, this is like fresh discard, that it's discard, but it's not so old that, you still have some leavening power in it. But yeah. And if anybody wants recipes or wants that method, just reach out to me. I'm the number 1000 bitesofbread@gmail.com, and I'm happy to share recipes or processes for feeding your starter or whatever.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's nice to meet everybody.
Celeste, would you share what you made?
Yes. So I made enchiladas con mole. So they're smothered in mole, also known as enmoladas. Like Abby said, I'm first generation Mexican American. So being connected to my culture through food has been very important growing up. And this mole was made with chiles that were grown locally here in Forest Grove, Oregon. The tortillas are also sourced locally with 3 Sisters Nixtamal. I have mushrooms, kale, sourced from the farmer's market. And then I also have one of these sweet meat pumpkins that I added in there as well. So it's combining traditional with local and, being able to stay connected to my ancestors through food and celebration. So thank you all for having me. And
thank you, Celeste. Yeah, this particular squash showed up in three different homes virtually. We're all about our pumpkins here. And Madison, you can maybe share what you made too as a different version, take on a family recipe.
Yeah, I'd love to. I actually released all of my muffins to my family, who were on the other side of the door waiting for me to finish sharing them so they could eat them. But I made, with the same squash that Abby just showed, I made pumpkin chocolate chip muffins, which is, that one. It's a recipe that I've made with my mom since I was a kid. So every fall we'll make it probably 5 or 6 times because they're delicious. And I'm always trying to make kind of like local spins on it. So this time my partner made apple butter because, we're in Oregon, Pacific Northwest. We have tons of squash and tons of apples. So we did a bulk buying last weekend too that gave us 30 pounds of apples. So we made some apple butter, and I actually used little balls of apple butter in each one of the muffins, which I wish I could show you right now, but I think they're all eaten. Oh, and I do want to shamelessly plug that there is the very last Fill Your Pantry for those folks in Portland is going to be this Sunday at the Montevilla Market.
And do you want to share a bit more with everyone about what that is, Fill Your Pantry? Because it touches upon some of the topics that we talk about through this Food and Climate Shaper program.
Yeah, I'd love to. So Fill Your Pantry is a program that Friends of Family Farmers has done for several years, and there's a few different events that actually happen throughout the state. So through Slow Food Portland, we collaborated with Friends of Family Farmers to put on the Portland version this year. And that's because, with COVID, you need extra hands and everybody's working with bare bones. So it's a lot easier to get things done when everyone's working together. So we took on that project together, and it's essentially an opportunity for farmers to sell their product at the end of the season in bulk. It's like clearing out their harvest from the year, and also, an influx of cash so they can start planning for the next year. So last year we brought in about $80,000 for farmers. And we had to kind of switch it around this year because normally it's one day event where you pre-order through like an online service to get all of your bulk orders, and then you can come and buy some more stuff the day of. But because we can't do events, we have little pop-ups at a variety of different farmers markets throughout Portland. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Portland, we have a very strong farmers market culture here. So, you know, a lot of people, it's part of their shopping ritual is to go to the farmers market on the weekends or even during the weekday. So we have those kind of in addition to those winter markets. So it's also bringing more folks out to winter markets, because when it's rainy, you don't want that, you don't really want to go to a farmer's market as much. So getting people out there, buying up the rest of the product from small farmers. So it's a lot of shelf-stable squash, potatoes, apples, and then some beans and whatnot, some grains. And I think we're on track to make close to 100,000 for farmers this year. So we're up from last year, which is really great because farmers need that extra support right now.
Amazing.
Where are you guys from? Are you in Italy, or where are you all from?
Very, very good question. So I am myself, I'm based in Berlin, but right now dialing in from Hungary. And then we have Jeff from Mallorca. And then we have a good bunch of people from Brussels still online. And then obviously from Italy. And that would actually lead me to my final words as well, to list all of the other locations what we visited virtually today. But I want to check with Abby if we actually gave a voice to all of your guests.
I think Hannah is the last one here. Hannah, do you want to share something?
Sure. Yeah, it's not that exciting, but I made a loaf of 100% local whole wheat sourdough with poppy seeds. And woohoo, nice. Yeah, similar. Yeah. And I use flour from Camas Country Wheat, which is one of our local farms. Probably, Adrian, is it like 2 hours from here? And Adrian buys it, and I've been helping Adrian edit she's working on a cookbook about sourdough bread. And so I've been editing that, and she's been paying me with flour, which I didn't realize the pandemic hit how amazing that would be, because we ran out of flour everywhere in Portland. Like there was no flour on the shelves of the grocery stores for weeks, but yet Adrian still had access because she had this relationship with Camas Country Mills. She'd been buying for a long time. So I was still able to make bread in April, May, and June. And thanks to Adrian. Thank you, Adrian.
My pleasure. It was fun to have 1,000 pounds of flour dropped off on my porch to distribute to neighbors.
Well, that and
to show you the pictures,
because the yeast was out. I don't know if it was out in Europe as well, but yeast was bought en masse during the pandemic, and so you couldn't find yeast for a long time. So I was just grateful that I already had a practice of making sourdough bread, and I already had a live sourdough starter that I could feed and still make bread. And yeah.
Right. Thank you so much, and lovely to meet you all. It was an amazing final dial-in to a virtual table. And with this being said, I would like to close the second climate supper we hosted. It has been a long day. I also would like to ask another hero of the day, to join us on the screen, Francesco Tita, who was in the background the entire time with me from 7 a.m. Central European time this morning. So
Hi everyone, thank you, Julia. Thank you very much.
So what we have done, we started in China and we traveled through the world, featured around 40 participants of our Food and Climate Shaper Bootcamp from more than 20 countries. And we saw delicious meals, we ate delicious meals, and I have a new goal in life now. I want people to organize those watching nights when they got together and they want to watch all of the Star Wars movies, and then they want to watch all of the Harry Potter movies. So I want people to get together to watch all of the climate supper sessions and eat in the same time and enjoy delicious meals. Let them be in one physical room or in a virtual format like we did today. And Sarah, I know you must be in the middle of your pasta al pesto, but if we could just hear you say goodbye, and then we can call it as a day. You are muted.
I was eating, sorry, I was biting. I couldn't say goodbye. Yes, so it's been super exciting. Actually, I also did my sourdough Look at here. I started this morning.
Very good.
and it's not too bad this time. So I'm pretty proud of myself. Good. So I'm super excited. Actually, I want to remind that today we are also remembering, not celebrating, but because there's not so much to celebrate yet, but remembering the climate agreement done in Paris 5 years ago. So this climate supper means too much for us. And this is not going to be the last one, because in the next future, we're going to host another one early in the spring for the next cohort, the third cohort of the Climate Shapers Bootcamp. And we're going to get ready for 2021. 2021 is a very important year. We're very proud because Italy is going to host the pre-COP26 and the G20. And next year, the global food agenda needs absolutely to happen, and climate is going to be the first issue we need to tackle. So thank you so much, Julia. You, as always, have been amazing. There's also Chris over there. Yeah. We are still enjoying with friends of the boot camps here. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. It's been an amazing journey,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
joining.
Ciao,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Ciao.
Ciao.